additions to my list.
A collection of moments, chances, and opportunities. You saw it there over the course of the year in Sweden, then in North Carolina. Now, closing in on another moment that these players and teams will have if they can perform. That's what Day 7 means for our players in EMEA today, as well as North America later on in the show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are here with the ALGS yet again on your Sunday. I know there's World Cup action as well. It is a great day to be a fan of competitive anything. And of course, Apex Legends as well. I can't do it myself. My name is Rainy, and I'm joined by two of the GOATs here in our casting duo. It's going to be Spider Tiff and Vicky Kitty. Tiff, my first time doing a show with you. Super happy to be here. And Vicky, of course, we've done a few shows, but it's just always great to be in your presence online or in person. How you feeling about starting today, Vic?
I'm super excited. I mean, right now we got basically 2 other days after today to determine which of these squads will make it over into LAN, which of these squads are going to have to get relegated back into qualifiers. So it's going to get heated pretty quickly, and I'm really excited to see these two groups play against each other again.
And Tiff, I mean, this is our obviously our first inaugural show together, but you've been covering the action so well over the course of these last few weeks and months leading up into this moment. Day 7, it's a big day for our competitors.
A big day indeed. I'm really amped to see a lot of these teams. There's the point of action where some of these teams really have to step up to the plate. And if not, you mentioned it, Vicky, they're going to face relegation. And that's really something that's hard to say because a lot of those teams are well-ly named teams that have found historical success. So prove yourself here and now. I'm just ready to see it.
You know, it's getting close. You can feel it. Day 7. Let's take a look at who's competing today. Obviously, we've got A versus C, B versus C. Today, it's A versus B. So we're going to kick it off how we started. Taking a look at this, though, Vicky, a lot of teams that have already proven themselves. I'm looking at Ascend. Maybe some teams that need to prove themselves on the bubble. I'm talking about Gaming. Who stands out for you here in this list?
Talk about the teams that need to perform. Navi, they're the ones on the bubble of actually potentially being put through the relegations all over again. They're currently sitting in 22nd in the overall EMEA leaderboards, so this is a squad that needs to put points on the board. I'm excited to see the likes of Pioneers, of course. KCP out here has been one of the more consistent squads, such as Ascend, of course, making record-breaking numbers, Alliance, so a lot of great teams here to really put in the numbers.
Tiff, what about you?
I'm going to look at teams that are facing kind of that just outskirts of the bubble of being in the top 9. I'm looking at Ember and Horizon, teams that have found themselves within the 12th and I believe 16th place, just points shy of that 9-team threshold. So I feel like they need to kind of step it up just to give them a little bit of that safety. Yeah, you're going to make it to that regional final if you're in the top 20, but the issue comes to making it into the Split 1 playoffs by being in that top 9. Of course, if you take the dub home in that match point regional final, you don't really have to worry about that. But why not just add a little bit of comfort to that, knowing you can be in the top 9?
I mean, why wait till the end? That's going to scare you out, that's for sure. If you take a look at our 1 through 9, these are the teams just highlighted in green that with points will make it into our land. But if you see that 10th spot not taken, you're right, Tiff, you just segued us perfectly. That is for the winner of our regional final, our Day 10 of Apex Legends ALGS action. That will be decided. One person on this list will be able to do it as it stands now. But Vicky, taking a look at it, you see Gaming, they've got 34 points. They've got to perform today. You know, we obviously have seen Ascend do so well at the top of this bracket. Can they keep that up and surpass Aurora again?
Absolutely. I feel like when Ascend comes in, they're always trying to break their own record. So I'm excited to see what they got in store for us. I don't want to jinx it, but I like how you highlighted a Gaming out here because they are one of those squads on the cusp, sitting at 20th overall. They want to make sure that they have that comfort that Tiff was mentioning before, so that way they feel like they could be a little bit more laid back. If they have a great performance today, they could be sitting in the top 10.
Also, Tiff, I mean, taking a look at some of these teams, Phoenix Legacy, they're going to be playing today. They've got 16 points. They're the very bottom. Teams like Not Sincere as well, just on the cusp. Need performances from them.
Need performances for sure, but you got teams like you mentioned it, Phoenix Legacy, Sabs and Co. G-Dolphin was recently subbing in on that team, but unfortunately will not be playing here today. So no Rampart enjoyers. We're going to be witnessing some Sheila running around the map. So a little less chaotic, but teams that I've really been keeping my eyes on that I'm just ready to see throw down. You know, Scars isn't playing today, but I feel like this is a moment for them as well to maybe watch Group A versus B get geared up, because that's not a name that you're used to seeing near the bottom at all. And Three Muppets, I love the name. So I'm just ready to see them today. I love it.
I mean, I grew up watching the Muppets. I know, maybe that was too old for some people watching here, but I definitely enjoyed it. And we're going to see this happen. There's a lot of teams that maybe have been clowning around here, and they're going to realize, like Scar's taking a day off looking, hey, we got to step our game up if we want to do this. We should be in that group. There's some teams now that have a chance to prove it. But of course, every single day, we have a chance to go into the ALGS with a few teams that stand out to us. And I'll start it with you, Tiff. Who's caught your eye heading into day 7?
Well, it would be none other than Ascend. I mean, come on, that team is absolutely setting record-breaking moments here in ALGS. And you mentioned it, Vicky, early on. You got the trio consisting of Kashera, Postkill, and Lufka. Lufka, formerly from that Incentive Arise team, and Kashera and Postkill coming in from that new esports roster that previously won the 2022 Split 1 playoffs EMEA. I mean, that just goes to show you how incredibly talented they are. They won 4 of their recent match day games out of 6 total, hitting triple-digit points, which they just keep breaking record after record. Led by that experienced IGL Kashera, the team put on a workshop of zone predicting and breaking in that Newcastle Watson Valk. The only question here is, can they improve their performance against Group B and find success just like A versus C? Vicky, who you got?
You talk about record-breaking numbers, I gotta talk about Vex Gaming after their last performance. This squad with Matafe, Unlucky, Tyler, who also tweeted about how he had literally the game of his career. He dropped 19 kills day 6, where they had a total of a 23-kill game on Stormpoint. Literally had me astonished, sitting at the edge of my seat. There was a reaction pic that the Play Apex eSport Twitter account had put out, and I was just literally amazed. Vex is one of the more consistent teams out here to be able to have their pop-off day in day number 1, and after that their lowest placement has been 6th place, which is insane to say. So I'm excited to see what Vex Gaming has in store for us today. They're going to be able to bring some of that momentum into day number 7. Rain. I gotta ask you, who's your squad that you got on your radar?
I mean, I can't hate what you and Tiff put together. Obviously, Ascend is a team I've rooted for. I think they need some respect. They need the flowers. They've been getting it. Vex, they've been so consistent. But this is the team that I want to highlight. Gaming Gladiators, a team that is going to be playing with a sub today for those who want to know. Artico, unfortunately, unable to play due to some issues back at home, sending him the best. But it will be Sunset, who they've been scrimming with all week, that will join Leogri and Artico. Leogri and Hardeki, who at this point maybe has the hardest job in all of EMEA, going from arguably the best player in maybe the world to somebody who we feel has a lot more to give. And will he be able to give it today? Will he be able to reclaim that status and maybe challenge Hal at LAN or somebody else? We'll have to find out. That's the challenge I've let to Hardeki here as we head into our map schedule. And you can see World's Edge will be where we have our first 3 games. We'll switch it up to Stormpoint to end the day. And obviously, speaking of gaming gladiators, almost called them Gambit. That was a former org of theirs. You can watch them. You could watch Ascend. You could watch Vex. You could watch all the teams we highlighted and more with multi-view. You can check this out every rotation, every final circle, every 1v1, and all of the team comms your way. Check out our command center. Click on the teams that you want to watch. You can catch their POVs to style Apex Legends and the ALGS experience exactly how you want it. Check out multi-view now, and I guarantee you will enjoy it. So big shout outs, of course, to all the teams that we highlighted, but of course, it's not just teams that catch our eye, and that's what leads us to what's in your pack, thanks to WD Black. Let's get into it, Vic and Tiff. I want to talk a little bit away from Legends, away from teams. I want to talk items, and there is a certain weapon here in this game that has jumped into the SMG category and has never let go of the top spot. And of course, I'm talking about the car. Tiff, this weapon has been made a splash since the very beginning, and it has not let go.
I mean, it's definitely been a staple in ALGS and all of these players' loadouts. You can see here this moment. We saw it utilized perfectly from Aurora. You've got the hands, you've got the gold heavy mag, the gold digi threat, just absolutely coming in clutch. This 2v3 scenario where they were able to couple this with Maliwan's Dark Veil on the Catalyst ult. Everything that they did was just absolutely perfect. And that car SMG just boosted their ability to come in clutch, Vicky.
Yeah, what's really cool is that when you have a lackluster POI, let's say you don't have the amount of loot that you could work with like other squads can, the car comes in clutch because it's the only weapon that allows you to make the decision of either using the light ammo or the heavy ammo, depending on what other weapon loadout that you're also rocking. You could run the G7 with this weapon, you could rock the gold extended light mag, the gold extended heavy mag, whichever one you find first, which is what makes this gun so easy to utilize.
I just think it's that moment of adaptability, sorry, to just double down in there. The adaptability is what these teams need, Rain Day.
I agree with you completely, and I feel like when we see Aurora, they are always changing things up. Won't be in the lobby today. They've got a chance, again, with that car and anyone with the car to make a big splash in Apex. That's what's in your pack, thanks to WD Black. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the preview of today by looking in the past of how things have gone. We have these groups play against each other over the course of 10 days, and we saw A versus B have quite a standout performance. And the team that I challenged, the team that we saw a little bit of brilliance from that didn't happen the first time they met, where they ended up placing in 16th, was Gaming Gladiators. Vicky, this was a moment that, you know, we got to see them actually put on a show for us. IG coming in second in this situation, Alliance closing out third, but can Gaming do it again after having such a great performance in their last meeting with this group?
What is interesting about Gaming and their performance day number 4, the last time that they got to meet up against group number B, was the fact that they performed amazingly on World's Edge, which is actually what we're starting off today. They got second place in game number 1 on World's Edge. They got 5th with 7 KP. And then in the last day, or rather the last game, they got 10th place with 6 KP. So they were able to frag out on World's Edge. So that's where they feel more comfortable.
You know, Tiff, Invictus Gaming too, a team that we didn't talk a little bit about heading into today, but they got 2 wins last time this group met A versus B. Can they continue that and, you know, obviously stay lethal in a place where it feels like they're very comfortable in this group?
I feel like that's the moment, right? If you're feeling comfortable in the group that you're already in, I mean, you'll see this later today in NA as well, where the team that's at the top actually won both of that A versus B matchups. But it's kind of different here, right? You mentioned IG. They didn't perform as hot during that initial match day number 1, but you can tell they went back to the drawing board to come out hot on their next group meeting. So the question is, can they do it again? And I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, it has been a great start to the day. We have so much action yet to unfold, and that's why we're going to send it over to your casters, Vicky Kitty and Spider Tiff, to take us into game 1.
Thank you so much, Rain Day. I'm so excited to join you once again, Tiff. Let's kill it out here with these squads that also need to be able to perform. We already have that early contention between Na'Vi and Echo, looking all the way over by Climatizer, but it's nice to see that Lava Siphon still has non-stop action. I'm looking at IG International that has that little bit of a split drop. They try to make sure that they get all the loot to the north of Lava Siphon, and we talk about Gaming Gladiators. Well, this is their time to shine. They got the beacon over in Lava Siphon. They have all the loot to work with in case they want to fully send it onto that squad that's north of them.
My question is, are they going to play it a little bit safe here and kind of just get out of dodge, hit the beacon and continue their loot pattern and begin that rotation elsewhere so that IG can come in and maybe grab beacon as well? But when you notice that map right there, the member of Ascend kind of also dropped a little bit separated from the other teammates. And I wonder if they were also trying to get in a little bit of that beacon action. But you can see just on your screen right now, the plethora of loot available here at Lava Siphon, which is why I feel like a lot of these teams typically will split this POI.
Yeah, and you know, you highlighted Ascend. Usually when we see that happen, when you talk about POIs that are a bit lackluster, I'm looking at Harvester, I'm looking at Geyser, which no team landed there. Of course, sometimes you can get caught off in the middle of rotation, and you don't have the best loot to work with. Gaming Gladiators are already on the move right now, also being able to loot up anything that's on the outskirts of Lava Siphon before making their next move. They have the information of where this beacon's going to be pulling, and if we could get an overlook of the map currently and where that next circle is going to be, it'd be great to highlight, because this circle we've seen time and time again, sometimes could pull towards staging. It could pull maybe south of where the tunnel vault is, south of landslide. So this means that a lot of these squads now, as you can see on your screen currently, rotating from fragment, having to go through these 2 choke points, looking at the beacon that's north of fragment west, and then the choke point leading into landslide could get heavily contested by the squads that are exiting out of the east side of the map.
Yeah, and that's a brilliant point, Vicky. I mean, you can totally tell Ascend has already made their way out of Harvester into staging where Vexed Gaming lands as well. So there is a potential that the ring is expected to end around that area. But a lot of these teams just beginning their journey here, crafting up, making sure that their shields are on point. They want to have at least 4 bats maybe available to them, because once you basically end that rotation, if you're not able to hit replicators or take some early game fights to get some well-needed loot, you could find yourself in a potential scenario end game where you're just running out of ammo or ordinances available to you, such as arc stars. Such clutch moments to have in those end games, because you saw it on our last meetup, Vexed Gaming. They were inundated with arc stars and that fuse ult and just unfortunately could not hold on to Godspot.
And you mentioned Fuse, you know, that's actually been a kind of a mainstay legend that we've started to see way more performance from, aside from the Mad Maggie. It's nice to be able to see the different compositions and how they've been able to provide the ability for a lot of these squads to play into their team composition. IG just trying to use the crypto to not only overextend and trying to get that beacon information, but settling down on the low ground, which in these early rotations could be very detrimental. Gaming Gladiator, though, finding themselves in an early fight out of their rotation right now over to the south side of staging, and the Zeros have already been called off.
Ooh, and I kind of like that they put their sub Sunset on that Watson. It allows them to take a step back, play a little bit more defensively, and maybe give them some time to step into that role. But when you're going up against a team like Vexed Gaming and you're coupling it with Unlucky and Tyler, two insane fraggers, this is not who you want to meet on your early game fights, especially knowing that this is a must-perform day for you.
Yeah, that, and Tyler feels himself right now. He tweeted it earlier how he literally had his best career KP game in the last day of competition that Vex Gaming played in. Yeah, you see the EMP come out. That could be the squad that's actually hanging out underneath a lot of the chaos going down in staging. Now, as Vex Gaming are taking control of the high ground here, they can also take control of the southern rotations from the squads exiting out of Thermal like Alliance.
Well, they're going to have to take control of a couple other teams as well, because you've got Kansas City Pioneers and Horizon looking to get into the mix here, as you see Gaming Gladiators unfortunately being eliminated at the hands of Vexed Gaming. Where is Fallout when you need him to start his list, that essential elimination list of Vexed Gaming? So GG at the top of their list currently, and they're looking for more.
Hey, we gotta talk about KCP. This is obviously one of our other more consistent squads in the EMEA region. They're sitting at third in the overall standing currently, and they were able to help out Vex Gaming in taking care of Gaming Gladiators as the first squad to go down in this first lobby. Not the way that you want to start off your performance on World's Edge when you felt way more comfortable on World's Edge before. And look at these Watson fences. Mwah, chef's kiss. Looking like a Picasso painting out here. Just making sure you make a statement from IG, as they're going to be able to overlook some of the action happening on the high ground.
I mean, why push in when you can just, you know, essentially double down and see all the action from your crypto drone? But Vexed Gaming sharing the resources, I really love that moment for them. And you've got Matafe with that napkin shield, as Wig would say, which is totally fine because you have that G7 scout to farm those mid-range engagements. And you can see they're in no hurry to overextend and push into that next fight, because a lot of these teams are starting to set up shop in this vicinity. The moment you kind of essentially full send onto a team, so many other teams are going to want a part of that third-party action.
Yeah, you know, talking about Vex Gaming and their positioning right now, the difference between where Vex is basically playing the mini king of the hill on the high ground, and what we just saw from Gaming Gladiators where they got pinched by KCP and Vex, the position where Vex is has that slight high ground advantage, and they're looking to their backs to make sure that the other rotation choke point to the left of them isn't going to put them in a sandwiching situation versus the likes of IG that's playing on the low ground, or any other squad that's going to rotate on the high ground through the train tracks where Horizon was.
I mean, that's a very good point, because you know that Alliance drops Thermal Station, and they will be one of those teams to come out through that chokehold as we get this beautiful POV from the crypto drone overlooking where all the teams are kind of nestled up. And you mentioned the Watson fences like Picasso. I'm thinking like my 8th grade geometry class that I was probably sleeping through, because, you know, video games are obviously more important. Just kidding, stay in school, kids. But we got a good moment from Ember. You got Fricks, Bavis, Young Hong Kong. This is one of those teams that I spoke of briefly in that pre-show with Rain Day and you. They need to perform. They're finding themselves just outside that top 10, and going into that regional final, if you find yourself outside the top 9, yeah, you can get more points and really try to get into there, but you find yourself in that must-win scenario. And when you're going up against teams like Ascend that are statistically proven to have the best ability to put together a map win, you really don't want to hedge your bets. Get yourself in that top 9, but currently dipping and dodging and just going under fire, and unfortunately Fricks is going to fall.
The G7 has just been an insane tool for a lot of these teams to utilize, especially in these long range situations. It's Corpa, another squad that absolutely needs to perform. They're sitting in 28th in the overall leaderboards, and with so many other squads in the middle of the rotation exiting out of Lava Siphon, Corpa could definitely capitalize off of this. Love how you highlighted Ember, because yeah, they're sitting in 15th, or actually rather 16th in the overall standings, and they just lost out on their Valkyrie, so no Skyward Dive on the board for them to make the rotation into that next circle.
Oh, and they're just going to absolutely get punished. Bavis forced to throw out the black hole and just kind of disengage from this, throwing all of the nades that they had availability. But you see it right there. The team is just going to full send upon them, jumping down, going for that challenge. And now they're going to lose out, because Young Hong Kong, last man standing for Ember, not looking too hot for them. Probably going to go out here soon.
Yeah, Tiff, I'm also seeing that so many other squads are making their appearance into this fight. This fight was lasting just way too long for Corporate to try to capitalize off of, as one last member of Ember stays standing. At least it's the Seer from Young Hong Kong, so we can see where the other players are trying to rotate from using the heartbeat sensor. It's Game of Drones who have now made their way into the third party. Could there be a potential fourth party here? The EMP coming out now as Game of Drones have the high ground currently. They gotta look to the rights. I also believe 3 Muppets is in the area here too, south of Corpa.
Ain't no party like a 4th and 5th party, but Rondon throwing down a lot of damage with that beautiful R301 courtesy of Big Mod. And we talked about a lot of these. I did just see a good bunch of car SMG action, which is honestly, surprisingly, not too bad at mid-range, but why utilize that when you've got that R301? They are just really finding some good eliminations here early on, but really not overextending and full sending into the fight to really control the space that they've got. Because if you look at their back end, there's still a slight portion of the map that is in ring on the other side of that hill, so you don't want a team to come behind you.
Oh, and there's so much action happening on the other side of the edge of the circle. We just saw the res coming in from Corpa. They utilized that mobile respawn beacon that they put down with that last member of the Seer from Young Hong Kong from Corpa being able to pull that off. Means that with all the action happening around them between Game of Drones and 3 Muppets, then they're going to be able to actually move away from that. Wondering here, is Ember going to be able to just get away out of the fray? Maybe they could rotate through the outskirts of the next circle, go to Lava Siphon. This ring is going to be closing in soon, and Corpa are actually going to try to take control over the side of the circle.
Yeah, my question is Corpa going to try to hold out some of the teams that are in the area or just keep focusing forward? Because you don't want to make sure that you're leaving your back open, even if it's to the ring. Double check it. You mentioned that res coming in. But I want to highlight Zerifer on Corpa. Recently subbed in with the Guard to play some tournaments this week with them. And it was really cool because we highlighted Rambo a lot. And watching Zeri play with Rambo was just an absolute highlight. And Rambo just consistently hyped him up. So I was really excited to see how they performed here in EMEA. But Game of Drones right now taken to the sky, wanting to reposition themselves just ahead of this Harvester choke point, because I feel like any fight that you get into in Harvester is just one of those moments where you subject yourself to that 4th, 5th, and 6th party.
Yeah, because you have to think about the squads that could be rotating away from Fragment West south through that choke point that leads into Harvester. Probably other squads within this area. Game of Drones did find themselves inside the safety of this building. They, again, have the Seer, so they could utilize the Crypto Drone without having to overextend, while also using the heartbeat sensor of the Seer. They see the line of Watson fences actually right above them, and some shots actually trying to take some shots at the drone, so maybe trying to figure out which of the squads that have that high ground advantage. Another squad that isn't having the best time of their life right now, it's got to be Kumber from the 3 Muppets. Unfortunately, isn't able to collect the 2 banners of his 2 teammates that go down, but this also means he doesn't have the Valk for that rotation, so he's got that jump tower right in front of him, but he's got to play with the health disadvantage with only 2 syringes to his name while he's outside of the circle.
Yeah, this is not looking good. 1 med kit, 1 Phoenix kit. You are going to have to time this perfectly right, and within 2 minutes, that health is going to start ticking down astronomically. Luckily, you're just outside thermal station, finding another bit of Phoenix kits. There we go. So you at least have 2 available to you, but you got to hit the road. You got to get back into the ring and pray that no one is looking towards that side, because you know that all of these teams are so well versed in watching their backside, clearing their 6 essentially, instead of just playing it forward. That's the role of the IGL. I touched on it a little bit the last time I was on the mic. Your IGL has to be completely aware of all the teams around you, who is fighting what and where, and being able to direct your teammates to the best of their success. And honestly, I don't envy the IGL's role. I put a lot of respect on it. The first one you look at when things are going wrong, and they're definitely not thanked enough when things are going right.
And when you talk about the IGL, that's why I really loved Multiview, because then you get to take some notes to see how you can IGL your own games in terms of communication, the rotations, and the information that some of these squads need to use. As Horizon take to the sky, so they're actually getting pinged and pressured out by other squads in the area. The EMP is going to come out, and Horizon are going to be able to take over the situation underneath the bridge. But without other squads finding them in their line of sight, they get absolutely blasted. 0-0 going down. They still stuck between a crevice. There's a squad right behind them. Where do you hide? You can't go anywhere. And that's the risk of the Skyward dive when you decide to move into that next circle at the very end. It's E6 that capitalize, but they lose out in life.
Hey, this is a moment where they really do need to capitalize. They started out incredibly strong on their match day #1, breaking out Lifeline and winning some maps as well, but unfortunately have been rather lackluster ever since. So I'm looking to K-Swinny, Slayers, and co. I want them to get this reset and kind of just take control of it. You can see the res going off just shortly. Well, able to get them back up, finding some KP along the way, but there's 17 squads remaining, and the chaos is just beginning, Vicky.
Look at this. They have to share the building, too, with the squad that's right above them. You highlight E6 and the use of Lifeline. They've changed things up a lot to stay more consistent, and it's KCP that have the high ground right above them on top of this bridge. Okay, Max Strafey trying to take a little cheeky off angle. It's okay, we didn't see that. We didn't see you miss the rock real quick. You're on the Valkyrie, you can get right back to the high ground and to the safety of your team. But you saw him trying to take a nice little cheeky angle with the Kraber in his hand, wondering if he could find an angle on E6 underneath them. KCP know exactly where they're at because they're one of the teams rocking the crypto. And it's nice to highlight that there are 8 crypto squads in this lobby right now. We saw the Bloodhound from E6, and they're one of 2 squads rocking the Bloodhound. But KCP taking some of these cheeky angles are going to continuously pressure out this squad. Max Strafey gets one knock onto Young Hong Kong. Ember not having a great time.
Definitely not a great time when you're looking down the barrel of a Kraber in the hands of Max Strafey. So able to find a lot of success and just throw down some punishment here. I just want to harp on Nasky as the IGL of Pioneers here just a little bit. Yesterday played in the tournament Clara's Legends. I know Rain Day was a portion of that environment as well. And Nasky had to actually relegate some of that IGL responsibility and take orders from a female IGL. And just watching his face and his eyes and trying to keep shut on those moments was really exciting. And I hope he learned some things as well and can bring that here today, because in my opinion, one of the top IGLs, I know we're always talking about who they are, and I know Fallout in particular as well, but I personally think Nasky is one of the best ones in the EMEA region.
Yeah, Nasky also very positive member in the competitive Apex space. Absolutely love talking to Nasky. There's never a time where I don't see him with a smile on his face, so he brings a very positive attitude to the rest of his team. I like this position that KCP have taken because we've seen the circle actually end up exactly on this bridge before, and you're outside of a lot of the chaos from the squads that are playing off the high ground, that are in the middle of the rotations, exiting out of the beacon that's on the outskirts of that lava siphon area, rather leaving thermal station into the north side by the geyser south of Lava Fisher. So they're out of the fray, but Vex Gaming can't say the same thing because they've lost out on Unlucky, and now they're actually trying to pick up that banner. They've successfully gotten that banner downloaded, and they have the mobile respawn that they could call in as well, so that way they could get that res potentially.
Yeah, and they do have really great positioning in this ring with this, like the building is just uncontested. No one is really near this. They've got a line of sight and information on all the teams that are surrounding them, so they should have no issue being able to bring in that mobile respawn. They're just kind of getting punished by nearby cryptos and really just farming up these shields. And now the best time to get Unlucky back in the game is now, but the issue is once that mobile respawn beacon goes down, I think it's going to send a signal to all the teams around them. Oh, hey, yeah. we have that major disadvantage. We're down in numbers. You probably have an advantage on us, and we want that. We want that. We're going to take advantage of that situation and full push you.
Especially with the spot that they're in right now, that's going to be a green light for the other squads to know that they would have the number advantage in their favor if they want to be able to claim that building instead. You can see some of the chaos still happening in the building. KCP trying to get that res onto Nasky. Max Strafey still has the Kraber in his hand. Is there a squad right above him ensuring that bridge, that railroad track spacing here? Nasky needs to reset. He is able to go back online, and we have one of the Gibbies in the squad actually in the lobby right now. The only Gibby that we have currently in the lobby. Nice crack here. Nice shot with the Kraber. Let's jump into a listening with the Pioneers while they're able to reset.
Got you cracked. Knock the guy you cracked.
Crack another.
I'm gonna walk up and nade that. Yeah, do it, though.
Alright.
Bro.
They can
I
fight.
naded it. It's
Shoot,
Max, shoot.
I got my last shot.
I'm coming back. I might go down. I might go down. I'm good. I got my kill.
I don't get my kill over here, look.
Yeah.
You have a drone.
Yes, but look at Babas. I need to save EMP. Yeah, well, you just gotta
Okay.
stay alive. We have a really good spot. Don't overextend. Okay. Joe, Bubbles should be fading soon. Like 3, 2, 1. Remember, team underneath us, guys. No more bullets and Kraber?
No, not anymore.
Okay. We still have a team above us, guys. Keep that in mind, okay? Team right here, Max. You don't have...
Farming him.
Yeah?
Knock him.
Good knock, bro. Guys, they can't res there. I'm pretty sure they can't. Listen. Have to full send on us, if anything. So be ready for them full sending on us. Okay. This is one of our kills right here, Nasky, behind this rock.
Yep.
Gibby! Yeah. We have a... Dropping 46, I have a stack now. Okay, I have a stack as well. There's some more on the box here too, I can loot though. Okay.
Look at me, look at me.
Yeah, I am.
They go pushing us.
Okay.
I'm ready on us. I'm ready on us. 50 to 1. 70 to another.
We need a new gen. Gen is broken.
I don't have gen. No gen. No
I'm
gen.
nading them.
I'm
We're
not
outside
involved.
the hole right here.
Area.
I'm gonna EMP them, okay? We push.
Okay.
You ready?
50 to 1.
Go, 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 go now, go now, go! Full dive! Die on them!
70 to 1. 70 to 1.
Die on them! Die on them!
Good job.
Careful, Max.
We can go back. We can go back.
Go back, go back.
Good call, Nask.
I have only one big battery. Only one.
That was our first listen-in presented by WD Black, and you could see the comms coming in from Nasky to fully dive on that squad after pulling the trigger on the EMP. Amazing call-out from the IGL of KCP.
We knew he was biting his tongue yesterday in Clara's Legends tournament, but he is letting it all fly here today, and it is paying off tenfold. Their positioning is absolutely beautiful, and even if those teams are trying to challenge them for that positioning, I think that they're doing a really good job at holding it out. But you can see right here, Heroes on the top right of your screen just holding this mountain, utilizing that Newcastle wall. They have Yuchako on the Watson as well. So the question is, that is one of my most favorite god spots. Eventually the ring will pull away from them, and they'll have to jump off into the open arms of the team surrounding them. But if they can pick up some eliminations while they're up here, I think that would be really good for the Heroes team.
But where do they go at this point? With 6 squads left in this lobby, you got Heroes, Pioneers, E6, Turkish Stars, IG International, and LFO Forever left in this lobby. And look how they're sharing the low end of the bridge right now. It is absolutely chaotic once the circle closes right behind Heroes to their backs.
I love that you mentioned the teams that are left in the lobby, Ascend not being one of them, going out in a little bit of that mid-map chaos. Another EMP going down on your screen. We saw IG finding some success on that last A versus B matchup, and JMW on the absolute gunny right there, frying and finding some good shots. But the question is, can they navigate this cliff on the low ground when they're being punished by incoming ARC stars and they're not able to get the best angles on the team above them?
Yeah, that, and they don't have the Watson ult right there to negate those ARC stars coming in, to negate this pressure. They're literally dancing, sliding, zipping, and flying here through IG International, playing off this low ground, while also trying to get out of the line of sight of KCP and the squad that has the high ground on them. They get a knock on the high ground, but they can't fully send it. They can't give up the space underneath them, because now KCP are making their move onto Heroes and the other squad that was on the train tracks.
Yeah, Heroes already losing out on a couple people during that Element 6 fight, who is now out of the lobby as well. We are down to the 5 remaining squads, and I love the ability of Max Strafey to be able to utilize that Valk passive and be able to jump up and down on the top of the bridge, but holding that mid ground. And you can just see the absolute chaos ensuing as all of these teams forced to collapse upon one another. That ring is closing, and the question is, can the low ground team survive? Because usually you want to have ultimate high ground, but the KCP utilizing this mid ground very effectively.
Yeah, they called this circle out beautifully. That's Nasky out here. We have to highlight it again. And Max Strafey's got the RE45. I mean, if the Crazy Bird wasn't enough, it's got to be the RE45. Shooting it up with the disruptor rounds. Here comes the Turkish Stars, the squad, and the only squad rocking the Gibby. Now trying to close in the gap onto KCP. May have briefed them. Max Strafey going down, and Nasky falling incredibly low, right underneath Heroes, who have managed to make their way from the high ground. 4 squads left right now. Heroes, Pioneers, Turkish Stars, and IG International. Now leaving only 2 squads left. It's Heroes versus IG International.
Well, you've only got 1 member left of Heroes, so IG International looking to double down off that continued success in match day number 4 against this group, and they do just that, coming out on top here in map number 1. Congratulations to this team.
Love seeing IG still stay as consistent as they possibly can right now. This is a squad that was sitting in the overall standings in 6th place, and they're looking to still stay on top. Like you mentioned, where was Ascend? KCP obviously staying as consistent as they could be, calling out where that final circle was going to be pulling. But a lot of the chaos was happening on the high end of that bridge.
Hey, well, let's bring in Rain Day, because I want to hear his thoughts. You know he was probably watching that, because we got to see a lot of success from some of the teams yesterday as they kind of dabbled in their pro players on Clara's Legends tournament. And, you know, I'm really excited. So come on in, Rain Day. Let's hear your thoughts.
I'm excited too. It was great to see KCP as well. I think they did a great job. Tiff, take a break. I believe I'm going to be hanging out with Vicky here, talking a little bit here about what happened in game number 1. It was an interesting story. For me, one of the cool things I saw, Vicky, let's take a look at the numbers, because Heroes, a team that has, I think, about 10, 11 points so far just in game one. They're sitting right now in, I think, 27th place in the league. If they continue to put on a show like this, top 5, something like that, that's a massive amount of points that gets them into not having to play into relegation and try to get back into the Pro League. So we've got stories on the bottom. Switching it up, though, Vicky, obviously IG International, we asked, can they have a great performance again? Clearly, they're starting off the right way.
Starting out very strong with that W and a lot of KP to their name, especially with the rotation that they made, as patient as they could play underneath that bridge, because they looked like they were in a pretty tight position. I love how you highlighted Heroes, because the fact that they were able to stay on that Pride Rock in that final circle and not get contested when they were forced off that high ground, they're the only team rocking the Newcastle. So that Newcastle wall definitely came in clutch in helping them get out of the line of sight of the other squads that wanted to pressure them, looking at E6 when they were tossing grenades in their direction.
Bit of a conversation too about Newcastle and the ability for the castle wall and the character itself to actually be taken not for granted. I think I saw Albert Lilly and a few teams talking a little bit about, you know, is it really good? Is it really not good? It's interesting. I think it's clearly good. I think Newcastle clearly has value here at the highest of levels, and we're going to see it here as we take a look back at match one. It was Invictus Gaming who kind of dominated things off, but KCP, they had a good start. Ember here with a couple of kills, Vicky, and you know the story. Although it did end with Invictus, we saw some good performances from several teams.
Yeah, with Invictus, JMW specifically popped off. I mean, they secured so much KP, but we saw a lot of action happening on the southern part of this circle when it came to rotating from the southeastern side of things. Corpa got involved in some fights over by Tree. We saw some very risky skyward dives, specifically from Horizon, that got beamed in every direction from the squads that already made the rotation into that bridge. Corpa making sure that they could continuously play edge, allow them to also secure a lot of KP before they were inevitably taken out.
JMW, Graceful, and of course Noises. This team adjusted quite a lot here, leaving Bryn onto the side and taking an inactive roster spot and adding Graceful into the mix. And these two have been called super subs in many ways. Performed quite well at LAN. Graceful, one of the winners with Dark Zero in that Sweden LAN, and doing such a good job of really helping Cloud9 as well when in playoffs be able to have that IGL role and really add to the squad. This is something that now put together seems very, very dangerous, Vicky. Element 6 also popping off a bit here. And KCP, I mean, you know, and this is a good start for Nasky, Strafe, and Dell. I mean, can we see them kind of jump into the higher echelons what they've been waiting just to get their team together?
Yeah, and when they dropped down from that bridge area, they did lose out on Max Strafey, unfortunately. Turkish Stars did capitalize, the only squad also rocking the Gibby, but they also took way too much damage from the squads that were able to drop down from the high ground. Looking at IG, obviously, who are also playing off the low ground before Turkish Stars had to drop down. Look at this, into the lovely line of sight of Noises, JMW to follow up, and IG taking that nice, strong first game, ends them up with 11 KP, so double digits already to start off our day here at EMEA.
Wow, that is a great showcase here of what IG Internationals are doing. But we talk about Heroes, and really that's the storyline at the bottom of the table. 27th in the overall standings, making a big showcase here in game number one, that this will be a day that changes their fate. Also, Turkish Stars representing here with 8 points. Pioneers rounding out the top 3 with 13. That's a good showcase for Nasky, Strafe, and Dell. Let's take a look on the bottom side of things too. Vexed, team that's performed really consistently. Actually a pretty decent start. 6 points ain't bad for game one that doesn't go your way, but Alliance, pretty surprising. And Gaming Gladiators as well, Vicky.
Yeah. I was going to talk about Gaming Gladiators because we highlighted so much in the pre-show how the squad needs to perform today. This is not how you start off your day here, especially when one of your best maps is on World's Edge. And since we made the transition into starting on World's Edge, I was expecting more from this squad. Finishing last, they got choked up. I believe they got pinched between 2 squads, between Vexed and KCP. And that's what happens when you make in some of these early rotates, feeling like you're safe to take some of these early fights, and then you find yourself pinched instead.
Well, here's how it stands after one. IG International will take a nice lead. Pioneers and Heroes staying close to the top. Forge, lucky to have, I believe, Phoenix back in the mix. They're in a nice 6th spot alongside Element 6 and Turkish Stars, all tied with 8 points, but it comes very, very close after that. Gaming Gladiators, Alliance, 2 big teams, as well as Not as Vincere, Goose Eggs. Very, very surprising. Can they change that up? Well, game one showed us that Heroes were here to have a heroic day, and IG International are looking as good as ever. Will they keep it up? Will Gaming Gladiators finally get to the top of the board like they did last time A versus B met? We'll find out as match 2 is coming up after this.
D Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ALGS Rain Day here alongside Vicky Kitty. Match 2 is about to get underway as Game 1 ended with IG International taking a massive W there. Noises alongside Graceful and JMW doing what they do best, getting dubs and making sure that people know and respect their names. But also big surprises from the bottom side of the table. And Vicky, I got to also kind of bring this up. Ascend, a team that we feel like should be in this conversation all the time at the top, still starting a little bit slow today. We'll see if they can pick it up here in game 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Ascend usually finds that momentum early on, and they start ramping things up throughout their day. Maybe just a bit of a flub that they weren't expecting in that first game, but I'm expecting great things from this squad going on with their consistency and their record-breaking numbers that we've seen in the past in the Pro League. But also talking about squads that did surprise me in a positive way, squads that need to perform. Turkish Stars, they've been sitting in the 26 overall leaderboards on the bottom end, threatening to be basically relegated into the qualifiers. So the fact that they had a really great game, Corporal also getting involved into these aggressive fights early game, really does highlight the pacing that some of these teams are opting to take, so that way they can secure themselves at least in a nice safe spot to be able to play in the Pro League.
And I think that's where we're going to see today start to evolve. We have these two storylines now running. Do you get a chance to play at LAN? Do you get a chance to qualify? Or do you just stay in Pro League? Because anything can happen when you have to go through qualifiers. You do not want to put yourself in that type of situation. Teams are fighting for their lives here. And already in game 1, we're seeing the tone get set when it comes to fighting. That's right. IG International on the top of the first one. Will it continue to stay there, or will somebody else claim the crown? It was close from Heroes. Good showcase. KCP as well in the mix. Who will we see as we head into match 2 and the dropship lands us here over World's Edge?
Love how you highlighted Heroes, because aside from Turkish Stars, that's another team that absolutely must perform to avoid getting relegated into the qualifiers. Now, to kind of go recap for those of you guys tuning in right now, welcome, of course, to the ALGS, the EMEA region, always a treat to watch. We had one of our circles pulled towards the bridge side of staging, which should have benefited the likes of Vex Gaming. That is their drop spot, and they did have high ground before inevitably getting dove on squads that wanted to try to circle them. Alliance also taking a very patient route into holding that choke point north of Thermal Station. But we have another southern circle now looking at game number 2, and Gaming Gladiators could definitely walk away with an advantage standpoint here, since they usually have the beacon in the middle, Lava Siphon, and all that loot to work with when it comes to sharing some of that space in the north side of Lava Siphon with IG.
A little worried about Gaming Gladiators not starting off strong. World's Edge is definitely a place that they get most of their wins throughout these tournaments. In fact, in round 3, that was where in day number 4, they got their first win at the last game of World's Edge, but they started off pretty slowly as well, 14th and 15th. So maybe it is a pretty similar approach. It takes them just a couple games to get going. After that win, though, in round 3, they switched to Storm Point and got a 2nd, a 5th, and a 10th place perspective, which allowed them to get placement, which allowed them to get number 1 overall in the day. So we'll see if Gaming Gladiators can kind of start a little stronger. Vicky, that might just be, how this team gets going. But you got to talk also just about the fact that they're not playing as a full team. They've got Sunset coming in replacement for Artico, and that is a mental shift, and it's also an emotional shift as well. Hardeki, I had mentioned it before, an emotional player, and plays well when he's on his high. When he's not, it can affect his performance. And so we'll see if he can get over the fact of losing one of his long-term teammates here and work with Sunset, who's a very talented player today, and get a result.
Yeah, I was going to say, Sunset, in his own regard, is a very talented player. He's put in results himself, and so with this player being on the squad, the only thing you have to worry about is the consistency that the team feels in terms of their comfort. And you take a look at the top 10 and what went down in that first game. It was a very nice KP spread across the board for a lot of our squads. Like you mentioned, Heroes really did have that pop-off moment. They secured 9 KP. IG, though, had obviously not just the dub, but the double-digit KP on the board. As we look at Forge, one of our other squads that definitely needs to perform out here today. Believe they finished in 6th place overall after that first game, so they got some points to their name, as you can see right there, number 4th with 8 points in the overall standings for today alone after that first game. It's one of our squads that are already making their quick rotation, though, out of Fragment. Nice to note with a lot of other squads quickly just trying to hold onto that final circle positioning without getting circle cut by a lot of squads that have been opting to play more on the edge.
Echo Esports, Element 6, not as sincere, also on the edge as well, alongside Turkish Stars, who had a great start in game number 1. They will be playing a little bit late here. Forge already on the Skyward Dive, prioritizing getting into the mix. But that mix, oh boy, you better bring something to help stave off the contest, because there are a lot of people already here trying to find some space in this building. But getting shot from afar. Forge already feels the pressure. Row almost going down, only on a white. Phoenix also getting hit, and that's it. Forge, they make a Skyward Dive early, but we talked about it, Vicky. It is a dangerous proposition, and they've just felt the danger there.
They just basically got deleted. And the unfortunate timing on throwing out the Seer ult when you already saw the EMP startup animation happen, that means that you just used up that Seer ult for basically no reason out here. You basically panic in this situation because so many other squads were taking shots at you. But that's the risk of the Skyward Dive. Yeah, we still have that one member left of the squad. Hopefully he can get away, at least get those banners in time with so much fighting happening on the other side of Lava Siphon.
Well, Vicky, this is the conversation I like to have when people think about, are you hard edge or you rotate teams, right? Or you get into the circle soon. It's not as simple as that. A lot of the conversation actually ends up being, well, okay, we'd like to rotate early. That's our style. But are we late? Are we too late to it? And if we are, if we make a play like Forge, we're giving up our chances to even compete in this game. So yes, we like to get in there early, but this game we just have to, we missed our chance, we missed our opportunity. Teams are already there, it's too south, and we have to play this differently. And I think that is one of the things we don't see. Sometimes those lines between hard edge rotate and getting in the zone are blurred between these squads, as you saw the impact there from Forge as IG International set up here.
And Forge completely get deleted off the lobby, and they're going to be meeting with Vex Gaming in the lobby too, because Vex is actually the first squad to go down here as another EMP gets unleashed over in Lava Siphon. IG getting involved, still trying to put more numbers to their scoreboard after an amazing first game. But in that clean 3v3 fight, I have to highlight, we didn't see it right now on the stream, but Alliance just completely cleaned up Vex in the middle of the rotation. Vex do land in staging, and Alliance land in thermal. So that means in the middle of trying to rotate towards Lava Siphon, Alliance just had that cleaner fight against Vex. So that must be very interesting to see how that's going to weigh out on Vex Gaming after this game here. IG, the winners of game number 1, as we tune into them, they're not going to be moving in from this place. With their team composition, they want to hold into this building with the Watson and play as patiently as possible without having to overcommit for any sort of information from the crypto draft.
Alliance doing a great job of righting wrongs of last season, barely making it into championships, having to perform at the last minute and to make and qualify for LAN. Right now sitting in 5th with 57 points in the overall standings. A good result here would certainly put them in a pretty comfortable position heading into only 2 more days left, even if they don't win that final day, to qualify on points. So Alliance taking out one of the contests, one of the potential leaders there in Vexed. It's a good start for them. Yuki was also performing yesterday, played in a tournament, and had a nice couple of 1v2s. Such a talented individual player, and great personality as well in the scene and community of Apex Legends. So they've got the skills, they've got the squad. It's just about, can they put it together in the highest of moments? Not as Vincere though. This is a team that I've been disappointed in, Vicky, and I think it's because we know that they've got potential. Sonya, Rugby, Dazo have been incredible players over the course of EMEA's history in the ALGS, and not able to get things done.
Definitely have to echo that too. I was expecting much bigger things here from Na'Vi. They're sitting on the cusp of being potentially relegated into the qualifiers, and the only squad that's actually rocking the Mad Maggie today in this lobby. So bringing something different, which has found success for at least other squads here. Hopefully Na'Vi could find a very similar line of success, because they absolutely need to perform. They didn't perform in the last game either. I mean, they unfortunately fell in 19th overall in the first game. So taking a much more passive, slower pace here into this game. They're playing by the choke point of Geyser, where no squad lands. There's probably already a squad that did rotate in this direction. I can see open doors, but it's the fact that they're just taking a much more passive approach, playing on the edge.
Trying to hold this choke point here, because there usually are a few teams that try to make their way in, and they can tell the timing of the zone. 2 minutes and 9 seconds left. There will be a squad. In fact, it's Echo Esports on the other side, and this is who Na'Vi kind of sniffed out, knowing might be playing very, very close to them. You can see Echo overlooking just the area below them, trying to find a couple of shots. Just with a long 4 to 8 times, and the Sentinel with 53 in the magazine. Plenty of shots there for Zuni. Echo Esports trying to move in.
with the Echo Esports looking at all the Watson fences in front of them, wondering, man, there's so much already of space bought by so many of these teams rocking the Watson. It would be a shame if a Crypto just slid in here and used that EMP to ruin everything. But in this position that Echo's in, basically doing something what Navi's doing on the other side of that rock to the right, and it's holding these choke points away from the squads that are slow rotating outside of fragments. So Echo Esports, another team that absolutely needs to get those points, needs to get those KP, because they're also sitting in the relegating spot in 29th overall, second to last place currently right now in the EMEA region.
Very interesting. Obviously spotting out a drone here, trying to finish that off. It is Element 6 who they're looking at, and that is what Zuni's noticed. Behind the rock, we can see those outlines, but they do not. They just have the intel that there's a team that they're gatekeeping here. Again, 49 seconds before the zone starts to move in, so they'll have a chance to take a roundabout shot. Nice 63, leading the bullet there on the Sentinel. Not the easiest of shots, but simple for Zuni on the Seer, as again, they look at the Watson fences, realizing there's really not a lot of real estate there to hold. We've got to just play this, and we got to make sure, too, if Element 6 want to come our way and take our backside, we're going to let them know we're not going to give it up without a fight, and it's actually deterred Element 6. They've taken the roundabout way towards Harvester to try to make it into the zone, and possibly will end up running into Turkish Stars. But a good showcase of force from Echo Esports. It seems to have worked for now.
Yeah, keeping up the pressure, although with some of the noise that they're making with the Sentinel shots, I think they've already called it where they're going to start rotating downhill because all the other squads are going to keep them in their sides, the squads especially that have taken control over the buildings north of Lava Siphon. KCP, again, always on top of where the circle is going to be pooling. We've seen the circle pool actually over on top of that exact building that they're on right now, sometimes even on the outskirts north of the side. So they're in a really good spot and already breaking some pressure, at least, onto the squad that's also sharing the building to their left, letting them know, you know what, we got our Watson set up as well. We've set up our own perimeter. So many Watson fences already lined up on the Lava Siphon side of things, and they're also going to be able to get information with the crypto drone, maybe on the other squads that are rotating away from guys, or even Echo traveling from the high ground to the low ground uphill that fight.
Crypto been a big part of this meta in EMEA, and I think in North America too. A legend that has constantly been featured in these high moments, and we've seen it utilized better than anyone by Kashera, IGL of Ascend, who have taken the top spot for most of these weeks. 4 points behind in the overall leaderboards by Aurora, who've just been a very, very consistent team, but they've got a chance again to retake it, Ascend, with a win here. 6 in terms of points, having an 8-point start. We feel like that's a good sign. In fact, it puts them in the top 10, but we just expect so much from the Vicky that if they're not number one, we're like, where is Ascend? And right now you can see Pioneers and Ascend maybe going at it. Nasky saying, Dell and Max and I, we've been playing this crypto for a long time, Ascend. We're not worried about you and what you can do. We know how to do this just as well. So if you got an EMP, we got one for you too.
Yeah, and deleting that Watson ult too, just kind of poking on the outskirts of where KCP have in their line of sight. The one thing that this playstyle goes against for these squads that want to hold on to these final circle positioning with the crypto and the Watson fences is the lackluster loot that they're working with, which is something that these teams are willing to trade, which is why we do see more North America in more Loba in North America. That way you're not denied the loot that you want to work with. But nice little shot from the Sentinel right there, hitting a quick 70 at the same time. KCP are going to be using up their shield cells, but do they have enough meds to work with while they patiently wait out on some of these other EMPs?
Benefits of the interception pylon, huh? You get to regen those shields while you're hanging in the building. Obviously, you're going to wait till your ult comes back up, but if it does get desperate, and if you are patient enough, you'll be able to do it. 91 on the head. Sonya showing what the 30-30 can do. No skull piercer in there as well, so that would have very much hurt. But not as sincere. Still looking for their first point. Sonya trying to push a little bit off that and take some space, knowing that a heal has to go down. That player cannot poke their head back, and very smartly from Na'Vi, take the building next door. So now they're in a position, they're in zone. Sometimes it's as simple as that, Vicky. Just a headshot, take the space. It's clever from Not as Sincere, and they've already got a point right there.
Lights are popping off, by the way. They wipe out another squad in Lava Siphon and uncontested, so they're doing it in such a timely manner. Ascend! Fully dive out to KCP while we were looking at this other squad. They take control over this building. They come out on top, and they got shield swaps for days.
Have we answered the question of who is the better crypto squad? Ascend certainly think they have. It's now time for a rebuttal in Game 3 or later on in the day for KCP, but that is not going to go well with Nasky. Strafe and Dell. They are taken out. We didn't even see it, but it was absolute chaos. And can you believe it? We asked for them to show up, Vicky. 6 kills already, and there's still 14 squads left for Ascend.
It's insane. And we were also talking about the point of Alliance wiping out another squad. I think that was Gaming Gladiators that they cleaned up. Obviously, not a good show for game number 2 already for Gaming Gladiators, if that happens to be the case in that Lava Siphon area. But Ascend now taking control over this building means they got the loot to work with. They got the Evo Shields to swap to. And like you mentioned, that pylon's going to be able to allow Ascend to also regenerate their shields without having to use up too many meds. And they're also going to be able to share both these. I mean, if one building isn't enough, I guess you can just make it 2. Let's get that 2-for-1 deal going on here for Ascend.
But you know what I like? Even if they don't hold this building, right? They can show presence in it with the Watson fences. And they can get the loot. They can drag the loot out there and obviously pick up shield cells, go drop them back off in the building they want to prioritize holding. And also, they'll just discourage teams from going in there. They don't know if someone's in there immediately. They're going to see the Watson fences, and they're probably not going to try for it unless it gets desperate. So that's just going to give more space to Ascend. It's good play from Postkill and good IGL from Kashira, who is desperately hoping to make it to land and bring his dad there to watch him compete. Certainly seems like he is a man on a mission, and that mission is looking successful so far. Turkish Stars with 9 points on the day, sitting in 7th, as they are on the edge of this. Nobody really contesting them, and they've got zone to their back, so they feel confident. But the team to their right is Alliance, as we head over to a fight happening near Geyser. Girl Corpa getting into it here with an Arc Star, trying to start things. Oh, but a lot of damage Trix is taking here.
Oh, he needs to back up. He needs to suppress fire from the rest of Corporal, who are one of those edge squads currently right now. They're fighting off against 3 Muppets on this choke point of Geyser, and they have less than a minute to be able to finish off this fight as quickly as they can. The EMP now setting 3 Muppets up way from behind. They need to try to get this res, and potentially here, Plum can actually pull off the shield back.
Interception pylons going down as well. Game of Drones still keeping the pressure with Torch on top, and Jules just trying to get a different angle. Obviously has the crypto, and so whether it's just getting that momentary angle while being able to compete and still have impact with the drone, or just getting out, it's up to 3 Muppets to decide if they feel like this fight is worth it, and I'm not sure that they do. Game of Drones also pulling back. Corpa still alive, and they get the res. So 3 teams here in the mix. Game of Drones getting out of there. 3 Muppets still around trying to gatekeep because there's 26 seconds, and look at this. They don't have a skyward dive. Oh, maybe they do. It might be ready. It looks like they are preparing it. Thought it might have been on cooldown. Zerafer is going to be able to get them out. They've just got to survive this first part.
Yeah, this is the risk when you fight outside the circle like this, and with such limited time before that next circle closes in, you need to take the skyward dive because you're going to get circle kept by the squads that have already taken up this space from ring number 2, ring number 1. 3 Muppets are also going to take to the skies, but they're working with way less health. Looking at Plum only rocking the white Evo shield, so a very rough mid-game area here for the 3 Muppets.
Look at this. They land Corpa in the building that KCP got taken out in. Ascend, fly the drone over there, by the way. And 3 Muppets take the higher route on the building. It's a spot that can work, but it's obviously not very comfortable. You'd rather be inside in this wide open space. Corpa Trix goes down with the exhibit. Everybody's on display in the gallery there for Seer, and so you'll get information. They feel confident holding this. Ascend have actually, I believe, in your kill feed, gone and pushed out 3 Muppets from that other side of the trailer that they were playing. And so now there are maybe 7, 8 teams in this little building in this area that we're seeing Corporal hold, Vicky. This is insane.
This means that nobody is safe right now. It's looking expensive when it comes to some of these property taxes, and now Corporal is going to be able to have to play on the outskirts of this building currently. They got the Seer, though, so they can negate any sort of healing, any sort of res, and they clean up LFO Forever, who wanted to stay inside of that building. But do they push in? That's the question, with so many other windows and so much other line of sight that the other squads should take if they're playing on the outskirts of this building. Looking at the teams that are playing in the smaller buildings to the right side of Lava Siphon.
Alliance still to the left outside of this Phoenix Legacy and not a Sphinxera teams we highlighted earlier. They are actually in need of points at the bottom of our standings, and they are actually sitting in 2 great spots where the zone will end. Corpa and the rest of maybe 7 teams in our lobby, aside from Ascend, all in this space. He's talked about real estate. It's $1 million plus per condo, and it's only 800 square feet if you want to stand there. But they're okay because location, baby, that's what matters. Ascend, speaking of location, they've got nobody to their back, but to their right, as you can see, Kashir kind of focusing his attention is where Element 6 and Echo Esports are. Ascend have a big decision to make. Do you try to clear out this northern side, or do you kind of play small? Don't let yourself get noticed. We'll see what Kashira and the boys decide to do as we head to a listen in with them.
They try to take the top.
One got knocked. Val got knocked.
Okay, Lufka, don't peek. Just hide.
Lufka, you have to walk pulse here. Do it. Send it. Try to fly slowly and let's see what is open.
Backside of the building here.
No.
Yeah. Oh, the height, the team on height.
I cracked them, I hit on them.
Play on the other side of the building,
I'm not dead.
Come to me.
It's my EMP post.
Okay, kill one here on me.
I need to
Finish
kill.
one. Swap on that guy, no?
I'm fine.
Come to me. We're chilling here. Luka, you need to still flying. That was too soon, man.
It's fine.
Too soon.
I'm gonna res him.
Focus on your game.
I'm gonna res him.
I'm popping ultimate
It's
accelerated.
a duo on top. It's a duo on top post. It's a duo.
Okay, I'm popping ultimate accelerated. Give me a moment. Can you check on them?
Wow, just moments there to take a look at what Postkill and Kashera were sharing with Lufka. Maybe a little bit too early on the Skyward dive, Vicky.
Yeah, we heard them with the crypto drone. They just wanted to get the information, the intel to know which space was clear for them to actually land with the Skyward dive. And you can hear them in the comms basically just disagreeing that with the timing of that. With so many other teams playing on the outskirts of the circle, it's Phoenix Legacy, the squad that is sitting right now in last in the overall leaderboards in the EMEA region, that predicted the circle pool amazingly. And they have the safety of the inside of this building to work with.
Look at this setup. It feels like Kashera, Postkill, and Lufka just moved, but look, they're already settled. Oh, and look at this. Coming down, Echo decided to challenge. It's Kashera and Ascend versus Echo Esports. Ascend look to maybe knock down one. They're going to knock down another with the help of K-Swinny, and Echo will fall. Top 4 for Ascend, looking to make it number 1 on the day. It's an EMP, but not from them, and it's Element 6 with Slayers, K-Swinny, and Lifen, who are coming in to the fray with wingmans and not missing much. 18 points on the day, and the flatline spray as well. Element 6, look at this, trying to take over this tournament.
And with the Digi threat too, we highlighted the car for a reason. They're also working with the Volt. Great weapons to use, especially when you have controllers to work with here for the E6 squad. We got 3 squads left in this lobby. We got Phoenix Legacy inside the building. Ascend, who got Lufka up, by the way, and E6 on the other side. I don't even know how they were able to have the time to do that with Echo dropping on top of them.
Surprised here that Element 6 are poking their heads in, but I don't think it's going to be a full commit yet. They've still got the 3 squads alive, and they've got the zone closing here. It's going to take a minute, but Kashera and Ascend, they've got to make some move happen. Element 6, go for it. Get one. Slayer's looking to get another. Can he take down Ascend with the headshot? He can. Ooh. And that is going to be Element 6 taking down Phoenix Legacy. Ascend goes ahead and wins. Oh my God. Somehow.
Are you kidding me, Rain Day? Are you serious? When they had to play that as a duo after their rotation with the Skyward Dive, they still got Lufka up. Lufka went down in that second to last fight, but they still were able to clutch and get out of the fray when Phoenix Legacy was forced to rotate outside the building. Are you kidding me, Ascend?
Unreal. Element 6 look like, in my eyes, they're taking on Ascend. They take down Phoenix Legacy. Ascend come around. What a masterclass in terms of navigating a almost unnavigable situation, right? When you can take what Ascend have done, it feels like they shouldn't have been able to do that. Tiff, as you were watching back, talk a little bit about Ascend's win and the masterclass they just put on.
Look, it's just one masterclass after another. So I hope you other teams in EMEA are watching this, because this is just to show why they have won so many matches. And now typically they are really good at setting themselves in those end game zones and positioning themselves incredibly well. However, you could see taking kind of that underneath of the tower, things were looking a little disastrous for them. And you mentioned it, Vicky, they had to get Lufka back in after that kind of less than stellarly timed Skyward Dive, but the ability to transition and get their teammate back and then go the distance, this is how you become a champion. And it just starts here now. They are looking to go on the fray. They want to show up, get themselves a spot in that split one playoffs, and I mean, if they play like this, they might be a champ.
I don't know, Vicky. This is looking like a team that is in their rhythm, but in their rhythm in a different way than we've seen. Ascend has always been a team on top in terms of being able to win days, being able to compete, being able to be consistent, but not in this way. It feels like they've switched gears. They've hit a higher echelon of play.
Yeah, literally the most winningest team that we have in the EMEA region. And they still managed to come out on top after in game number 1, I believe they fell in 10th place in that first game, came right back around, even with a mispositioning on their part. They were able to restabilize, get Lufka back in. They also had to negate basically 2 other squads to their back. While all of this chaos was going down, they were able to have a sense of breathing, just to kind of take a step back when other squads were fighting to the south of them, right by the outskirts of that building. So that fence line definitely helped them out once they were able to negate the damage from Echo Esports, who dropped on top of them.
Yeah, and Tiff, I mean, there were good performances across the board. KCP had a moment. Obviously, they ran into Ascend. Everyone really ran into Ascend. But Phoenix Legacy, Element 6, making it into that top 3. Phoenix Legacy desperately needing those points.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix Legacy, they have to adapt a lot. They've played with a plethora of different teammates. Jeet Dolphin most recently subbing in for them and no longer playing with them as well. So Alpha Draft joining that roster. And clearly something is working out. But you see this moment where Pioneers are able to occupy these buildings. And something that we wouldn't have expected was Ascend to fully ape them in their building and take their positioning. But I think that's just going to show you how Ascend is kind of adapting to the scenarios. I kind of asked this question in the pre-show. Can they find success against the other group B? And they are doing exactly that. You have to be able to adapt against the playstyle of the other teams throughout these groups. And that's just how you become a winner.
Vicky, it takes a lot of confidence to make that push. I mean, and that really set themselves up to not have anybody at their back. And although it got even harder here as we looked at Corpa and the rest of the teams who occupied this building, Ascend didn't have to play that game. They could play their own game here on the edge.
Yeah, we saw actually in that fight between KCP and Ascend that what opened things up nicely was Luca's Arc Star that actually allowed them to take control over that building. And the outskirts brought Lufka back, still managed to fight 2 squads at the same time while playing at a disadvantage, and were able to still take the game while E6 was so busy cleaning up the other squads on this side of the building.
Unreal stuff here. Element 6. Ooh. There's a takedown of Lufka, which is crazy, but then Phoenix Legacy end up pushing Element 6. It's just terrible timing for them because I think they actually had a kill onto Ascend. So Lufka goes down yet again, and then it's ending up being post-kill and Kashera, who swing wide after the third party and end up taking down Element 6 to finish off the game. It is a second place finish for them, so not too shabby, 20 points. Only difference here is the placement, but in terms of total points, that's Ascend jumping right back up to the top. And of course, Phoenix Legacy having a good game, Tiff, but it's a nice top 10 here for some teams that definitely needed to start performing.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you see IG International down there in 6th place. They're getting themselves 5 points. Not a bad game. A good showing out of Corpa, finding 8 eliminations at only 7th place, with still 11 points. I feel like anytime you can hit double digits on a match, that is the level of consistency that these teams need to kind of have a standard. But jumping on over to the page 2 results, you've got Alliance sitting in 11th. And yeah, they were able to get 7 points, but they haven't really performed to the ability that I know that Hackis probably wants them to and has a standard for themselves. You mentioned it earlier, they barely qualified for that championship land, so you want to make sure that you're getting up to that consistency and doing it here rather than later. And another disappointing thing, Vicky, it's going to be Vexed.
Yeah, Vex Gaming being the first squad to go down. And at the hands of Alliance, by the way, in the middle of their rotation, I noted it earlier on in that game, since they were the first squad to go down. Now we get to take a look at the overall leaderboards currently after that second game, and now we have Ascend tied with Element 6 and IG International. Are you kidding me? This is actually a very intense end result after game number 2.
Hold here. Please don't shift. I gotta say, I can't believe the Gaming Gladiators have 0 points after 2 games.
Yeah.
I'm a little shocked. I mean, I know I highlighted them, guys. So, at this point, it is difficult for, me to come back to camera and say, wow, the team that I was looking at has 0 points after 2 games. But I also think just, this is the story of gaming, and we have to keep this up because they're a team that last time won this group. They literally won this group. They got 25 points of, I think, the 34 that they have here, that just from a single performance, but they've got to turn it around. World's Edge typically actually a pretty decent game for them. But let's look at the final circle here one more time. And Tiff, I want to get your thoughts too, because you weren't on cast with us as well, kind of how this all worked out for Ascend. They had a lot to do, and it started with Echo dropping down on them.
Yeah, that's definitely a point. But what I noticed the most when I was watching this was Element 6. They were nestled down onto the cliffside. And I feel like when you're in an endgame circle and you're not immediately in the LOS of other teammates, you can really avoid a lot of the early on chaos. And you can see they're just kind of going up and down. And they actually kind of helped in the demise of Echo Esports, which really lent their hand to Ascend. And I feel like when they came back up, yeah, they were landing a lot of damage. But this is the moments where Phoenix Legacy started, hey, I want to get into the fray of things, as you said. And unfortunately, it was just so much chaos that it could have been anyone's game. And to be honest, I didn't think Ascend was going to come out on top. The fact that they clutched this up at the very end moment with the numbers advantage stacked against them, that just goes to show you that when their backs are against the wall, they can really clutch up. They've got ice in their veins, simply to put.
I mean, and Vicky, this is the moment too, because you can see Ascend are getting pressure. They're outside the building, and Phoenix Legacy, you see Ascend, they're barely alive. They just hang out later. They just show up late, and it works out for them.
Yeah, and something to note here too is that Phoenix Legacy basically put themselves in a sandwich situation between Ascend, who made the rotation on the outskirts of the fence, and then cleaned up what was left of E6. But with very good performance for E6 to show how consistent they were, because in game number 1, we saw basically something very similar from E6, where they got 5th place overall. So they still managed to stay on top in another game too.
Well, it has been a great kind of start to our EMEA broadcast, because we've seen the ups and downs of what this can do, you know, what this type of tournament structure can do to you. We've seen teams perform like we expected. IG, Ascend, clearly they are favorites in EMEA. They might be world favorites here in terms of how consistent they've been performing after 7 days. But we've seen teams who desperately need to struggle to find their way to redemption and maybe find a little bit of hope heading into our final 2 days after this before we get to our regional finals. And, you know, I just want to say, top-down overview, Tiff, looking at what's transpired so far, who are you having your eyes on in terms of either maybe a star performer or maybe somebody who needs to perform that you've kind of caught? You mentioned Alliance. I'm not sure if that's still who is your answer.
Yeah, I definitely think there's someone that needs to perform. I mean, obviously, Effect being the new addition to that team and kind of trying to get that kind of groove settled for them. I think they're an incredibly strong team, obviously head up by their IGL Hackies, and incredibly strong performance. But I want to turn the tables to Vexed Gaming, the team that highlighted by Vicky in that pre-show. I feel like this team likes to stack the ads against them. And yes, they can consistently get into the top 6, the top 5 at the end of the day, but taking 0 after 0 and just having some mistakes in those early games, they're just really wanting to work hard toward the ends of these matches. And we have, I believe, 4 games left for the day on this series, and you know, why make it a little more hard for themselves? I want to see them do well here.
Well, Ascend has already climbed to the top, tied with IG. Let's see if they can keep it up as we head into game 3. Spider, Tiff, Vicky, Kitty, take it away.
Thank you so much, Rain. Welcome back, Tiff. I'm excited after that action in game number 2. I mean, I can't even expect how game number 3, our last game on World's Edge, is going to go down, because right after this, we're going to make the swap up over to Stormpoint. And it's nice to highlight how some of these squads feel way more in their element on World's Edge, where they could pick up that momentum and keep that consistency going on through the very beginning portion of the day. And then maybe on Stormpoint, maybe take a little bit more of a lax role if they feel like they want to play more patiently. A lot of these teams, though, opting with the Crypto and Watson, have been able to make these great predictions on where the circle is going to be pulling, like we saw with KCP before Ascend fully sent it onto them.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those moments where we had that questioning. We were like, hey, can these teams that are more comfortable on World's Edge show out? And some of them actually haven't been doing so. So it's kind of like, hey, you need to step into it, be aggressive. Don't really wait till the end of the day and on Stormpoint to make that comeback. And a lot of these teams just looking for a little bit of retribution. We saw the Ring kind of pulling more center again, which is kind of good for me, Vicky, because when we had to cast those 3 climatizer zones in NA a couple match days ago, I just love a little bit of diversity here in our endgame zones. I know a lot of the analysts kind of doing the preparation during the weeks to make sure these teams are well versed, and we have IGLs like Nasky that are so incredibly intelligent. And Gaming Gladiators on your screen right now, these are one of the teams that need to kind of get on the board and get on the board now.
Yeah, and if we could take a look at the circle right now, the overview of the circle, we're basically having that southern pool of the circle again, maybe pulling towards that choke point between Fragment East into Lava Siphon. I got eyes on No Name, that's to the east side of Fragment East, that could easily get contested if there is a beacon there for a lot of our northern rotating squads. But you highlighted Gaming Gladiators. They exit out of Lava Siphon sometimes with a beacon. This time around, they don't have a beacon, but also with other squads in their eyesight. It's going to be Ascend that they're going to be pressuring out. Lufka, Kashira, and Postkill don't have the evil shields that Alliance, or rather Gaming Gladiators, are going to be able to exit Lava Siphon with.
Yeah, they're just absolutely getting punished. On the screen right now, Gaming Gladiators appears to have that upper hand. They have the shield advantage. Their weapon choices are absolutely astronomical. You got the flatline. So I feel as if they're already confident, and this would be the moment if they could get a lot of momentum kind of favoring them. I mean, Lufka, you could literally slap him up with a wet napkin, and he's got a sliver of actual health hitting that med kit, now regenning. But you've got to get to cover, kind of reassess the scenario and maybe take into account. But they're going to go ahead and jump on in that skyward dive and reposition themselves. I really respect this out of them. They're going to get a little bit of information and be able to take that high ground.
Yeah, I love this move too, because this circle could be pulling towards Geyser. So an early rotation here for Ascend, especially with their limited health and their white evil shields, is definitely the move. But look how many squads have already made the rotation here, landing right on top of this team. Quick reaction from Postco to put down that fence line before actually rotating right outside the outskirts of that building, because you never know which of these squads have already taken control over this space and what Ascend really has to work with. It's heroes actually that's inside of that building.
Look, as a fellow Watson enjoyer, I just gotta say, post-kill, that fence placement was absolutely impeccable. And the ability to adapt to those skyward dives when you don't get that information of teams that are inside the buildings. So you've really got to land, react quickly, and then keep moving, especially when you don't have a lot of movement characters. Crypto, you really just got to run. You can't use, you know, a Wraith into the void or any of that necessary, but they have a good positioning here. The Jenny placement behind that supply bin is going to keep it out of the line of sight from other teams that are looking to kind of destroy that so they can inundate them with nades. But Vicky, I mean, it seems like we're going to get a Geyser zone because a lot of teams kind of joined in. There's really no available space left in these buildings.
Yeah, it's actually so congested out here. Game of Drones are in a pretty nice spot with the building that overlooks the rest of the Geyser area being on the high ground. But this early rotation could also be detrimental for a squad like Game of Drones, because not only are they going to fixate their attention over to the squad to their left, but they also have to focus on the squads that are going to be exiting out of the tunnel area, leaving the vault from No Name south side of where Geyser is.
That's a brilliant point, and I think that's a great thing to focus on. Yes, their backs are clear now, but if you're going to set yourself in a god tier positioning moment early on in game, you have to be able to go ahead and withstand all of the pressure from the teams that are looking to seat you out of that. And currently all squads left in this, and Game of Drones right now really turning their attention to Ascend. And since they were kind of forced to Valkylt and go for positioning, you can see they don't really have the resources available to them. No shields available to them. I mean, I say that, 2 shield cells, 1 bat. I don't see any meds for Lufka, so this is not the ideal scenario. And if Game of Drones is going to keep inundating with that EMP, I mean, what do you do at this point, Vicky?
Yeah, you're going to have to unfortunately take that damage and then work with limited health as well. I mean, the only other option would be post-kill and his ult, but then that's what you're going to have to use that ult for, basically, is just to replenish those shields. So Game of Drones, on the other hand, are just going to be able to boost up their own evil shields, specifically looking at Jules with that EMP. So we absolutely take those if you're Game of Drones, and we take the space over in this building side too. I'm wondering how the other squads that take their time to rotate in, play more of the edge of the circle are doing. Thinking specifically of Vex to land in staging, Alliance that land over in Thermal Station. I know Ember's going to be rotating through the big mod area, as well as Corpa exiting out and rotating from the south side of the map through Lava City. So there's still a lot of squads that haven't made their way through the safe choke points south of Geyser, around to the side of Lava Siphon. So it's going to be a lot of action on the outside of the circle too.
Yeah, and that's where we saw a lot of those teams going out early on, with Vexed Gaming falling first in map number 2. But hear me out, Vicky. I kind of want to see Ascend fully int on Game of Drones. I know that sounds crazy, but I feel like if you're already running low on resources, why not chow for that god spot early? Because you mentioned it, yeah, they've got the interceptor pylon available to them, but that only heals up 250 shields throughout that team. That is gonna, and once that's used up, they're gonna have to wait for another ultimate to be able to kind of utilize that for shields as well. But Na'Vi getting down here in the tunnel, trying to make their way over to Geyser.
Yeah, Navi getting involved, 3 Muppets playing on the inside of this tunnel, and with their composition, it's even great for them because they get to use the Watson fences to make sure that they can negate any sort of space from other squads that want to push in here. Maybe squads that are rocking the crypto are going to be able to EMP to be able to close in that gap, but 3 Muppets with the Seer and the heartbeat sensor will also be able to have the information necessary to see which of these squads are trying to push into the tunnel.
Yeah, I just feel like it's one of those moments where they need to play it a little slowly. I mean, you're going to have to watch your back as well because you do have some teams that land on the upper side of the map that are going to be making their way in. And I like that they're leaving Dazo out here just to really watch for any kind of rotations because you can actually get pinched inside those tunnels and it is not a fun fight in any way, shape, or form.
My only concern here for this placement of Navi is once that circle closes in, and we know that the circle will probably pull more to the south towards Geyser, where do they go from here? They know that there's a squad already right behind them. They're hearing the shots. They probably have already seen the fence lines, and they don't have a seer, so they don't have the direct information that having that scan character provides other than the fact of Dazo taking a skyward dive and them utilizing the Valkyrie passive to get any information of the squads that aren't inside some of these buildings.
Yeah, I feel like this is the calm before the storm at this point here in map number 3. We've had a lot of chaos ensue in maps number 1 and 2, but I feel like the teams are starting to play a little more slowly, right? They know what's at stake here, and that regional final is the ticket that they want to find themselves be a part of, and Turkish Stars really trying to step up as well as teams like Korpa. Korpa currently sitting in 6th overall for the day, and every time I see Zerifer, I'm just like, I have this moment in my mind where I watched Rambo play with Zerifer and on the Valk, and he was like, fly, Zeri, fly. And I just want to see him come in clutch in an end game moment. But, you know, Alliance, you mentioned they'd be making their way into the ring from the south side, but they're kind of pushing all the way over to Lava City and are going to come up through that south chokehold on Geyser's south.
I'm concerned here, though. They have information probably that there's a squad right by them if they're taking their time to rotate on the outskirts of this circle. We highlighted some squads that were rotating on the outskirts of Big Mod, and Korpa is actually in one of these buildings over in Lava City fighting another team. This could be Vex if they decided to take a southern rotate if they didn't come across Alliance yet. And Korpa getting involved in this fight could also be a green light for Alliance to actually third-party this team.
Yeah, but with Tyler already going down to Tricks, you got a Lucky going with the trade back. Now Zeri, last man standing in a 1v2 scenario, but Vexed Gaming looking to clean this up. They're going to go ahead and Thirst 1. They have an available shield swap to them, and they've got this reset going, not necessarily putting an end. My question is, are they going to allow that last player of the other team to kind of make their getaway? But Zeri flying in hungry and unfortunately going to be met with the demise of Unlucky, finishing them out. And this is what Vexed Gaming needs. Currently sitting in 11th place today, and I believe 6th overall coming into this, looking to really solidify themselves as a major player. And we talk about the regional final being match point. Vexed Gaming is going to struggle with that, Vicky.
Yeah, remember, the last game that we saw them in, they were the first squad to go down the entire lobby at the hands of Alliance. So coming out on top with some KP to their name, the circle's closing in, so they have to start making their next move. But at least they'll have some great loot to work with after coming out on top of that fight. They got the Red Evil Shield to work with. And now as we tune into E6, they're overlooking a lot of the action happening on the high ground of Geyser. They're exiting out of Lava Siphon, and they're making sure that their backs are going to be cleared as Horizon, the squad that is in E6's line of sight, is finding themselves in a bit of a scruffle with the squad that's underneath them.
Ooh, but the Mastiff going in. I wish my Mastiff hit like that, and Forge is going to be eliminated. Can they stabilize here before another team decides to jump into this? Still 18 squads remaining, and I feel like we're just getting started into this game because I feel like if we're getting this Geyser zone, I'd be really curious to see which teams maybe have had some beacon advantage to them to kind of nestle themselves on the proper side of this zone, because we know a lot of Ooh, Mimu, a little hardcore parkour for the urban reset.
Oh no, oh no, wait, he's in their line of sight. You can see the Crypto Toad peeking at them saying, no, 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 you can't be a little tricky here. And Urban's stuck literally between the rock. Oh, that's so unfortunate. He couldn't back away, and he only had a white knockdown shield. So they immediately delete that, and they clean up that last player, or rather that first player here on Horizon. Hopefully they could get that banner and they could get him into a beacon so that way they could get that res. But this is information for E6 that had the line of sight of this squad in the middle of that fight to actually know that they're playing at a number disadvantage on the outskirts of Geyser.
Look, that looked like it was going to be a successful reset for them, but unfortunately, when you have the positioning of this house that E6 has, they can overlook and completely punish every single team that finds themselves just outside their building. But the thing is, once this ring starts to pull, they are going to have to jump down, and there's a lot of open space before the first building in Geyser, and that rotation might be incredibly challenging considering they don't have a Valk, and they may need to kind of rest on Life It. They're going to have to use that grav lift to give them a little bit of high ground. And if you check the kill feed, Ascend finally going out at the hands of, it looks to be like Ember and Alliance.
Yeah, Ember and Alliance partaking in fighting off Ascend, the squad who won game number 2, now out in this final game on World's Edge before we make the swap over to Storm Point. That's absolutely huge here, and I love how you pinpointed E6 not having the ability to use that skyward dive. Yeah, they're playing on the edge of the circle, but we know how risky it could be to be in a position like this with so many squads also taking a nice high ground approach on the opposite end of Geyser. Great call here from Alliance because this is a nice 50-50 rotation for them in case the circle does continuously pull north, and in the case that it doesn't and it pulls towards the choke point by Big Mod, they could just backtrack again and gatekeep the other squads that are playing on the bottom end of this bridge.
Yeah, one of the storylines that we had from the last match day on EMEA was the edge zones. They were having a lot of trouble getting into those final rotations and not having a lot of success. So teams like Vexed Gaming, Ember, Alliance, the question is, yes, you want to gatekeep and find eliminations throughout this, but you need to turn your tides to playing forward and getting into a good positioning in the zone. Teams like Turkish Stars and Pioneers still trying to find their way into Geyser, and even Ember still hanging out over on Big Mod. The question is, they have to get through that chokehold. This rotation will not be easy.
Absolutely not. And Vex Gaming just came out of that fight against Corpa inside of Lava City, so Ember knew that there was going to be a squad that had to rotate from the south side, but they're in the line of sight of the other squads that are holding the choke point by the train track, so they have to be careful while trying to negate the damage from Vex underneath them. There's also Alliance not only looking in front of them, but looking behind them too to make sure that they can put in that extra pressure. Vex Gaming down from Lucky though, has to back away. Tyler with the quick shield swap, but it's not fully up to par.
Oh, this is not where you want to be. Down a member of your team, and Tyler with little life available to them, looking for another shield swap. Matafe gonna have to take a lot of that pressure away from his teammates and step up in that IGL role. It seems lots of trades coming in and out, but the question is, they are going to have to move, and there's not a lot of ring available left into this Big Mod scenario. They are able to get the reset onto Unlucky, but they're gonna full send onto the team right now, utilizing that grav lift. Unlucky finding a good LOS on that member, and that's gonna be all they wrote for Team Ember.
Love the fact that they were able to split that focus onto the last member of Ember. All the KP matters here for Vex Gaming. They got 6 KP to their name as a full squad, and even with limited health, they're going to be able to fully reset while making sure that no other squad is to their back here in Big Mod. Again, they have the Seer, so they were able to also look to see if any third party were making their way into trying to contest that fight, and Vex Gaming have at least a little room to breathe here, as well as some of those shield swaps that they were working with.
While they have that little room to breathe and go on their merry way into the next zone, Vicky, can we chat about what this zone looks like? At least 50% of it is on a cliffside. There is only one chokehold aside that's going to get you into that ring. Meanwhile, the Pioneers struggling. Nasky, the IGL already down. Max Strafey trying to get up there and put some damage down, but forced to drop down and heal again. The question is, can they get their res off, or will they get fully inted on? And it seems like they may be in trouble here.
Yeah, I believe that's Turkish Stars. Aside from E6 that have the high ground, they're trying to fight off against Alliance currently right now. E6 are fighting 2 squads at once. Let's jump into a listen-in with E6 to see how they're going to play this.
Is there any light?
No, come to me. Go run. We need to go run now.
Yeah, I'm coming.
We need to fight in front of us. We still have Ryzen ult or no?
Yes.
Nice.
I've not got dog though.
Come on the left. I think the team house leave. Come.
Okay, I'm gonna scan.
Give me come. Kill that. Play here on me, between.
I follow my P.
Play on me, follow me,
Yeah,
follow my past. As against the team bottom here.
I've got scanning fire.
I'm gonna set up an EMP, careful the my swing. The boy the drone.
He's got a cheat.
I'm gonna to run it. Careful above. I need that, we fine. We're gonna to run that box, ready?
Yeah.
Back the run. I need for you on the left. Kill me now.
One.
Nice, take that spot, we're fine. Move easy after.
There's a rampart on the right.
Just watch our back,
We're fine.
Above us, I think. Above us. See ya. The jump on us.
First him.
Get the clean. Q.
Good. We're fighting here.
Yeah, just run it.
I'm dead.
That's right.
Fuck that zone, man.
Came a through the comms, but take a look at Phoenix Legacy. I believe that's a Rampart on the other side. Chaos is literally going out in every direction here on Geyser, with even Sheila coming out from the Rampart.
Yeah, these teams are just struggling even to survive, with the majority of the ring being in that cliffside scenario. It's the teams that really found themselves already in that next zone of that RNG pool are going to find success here, but everyone else has their backs against the wall. 5 squads remaining, and another team that's looking to finish in the top 3 is going to be Heroes. I've seen a lot of success out of them today, and I'm really amped for them. They find themselves outside, you know, that top 9, but they really want to get into that regional final. But just look at all these teams collapsing. Vex just holding the roof, which I think is really great, but you got Chaco hitting that grav lift from Heroes, trying to put as much damage down to Vex, and Unlucky's already down.
Oh, they lost out on Unlucky early on in this fight, but they still remain on top here. They're able to pressure out Heroes inside of the building currently. They wanted to fully send it out to them, but be careful with the Rampart and the RE45. It's BitFix Gaming on the outskirts of this building, who have found so much success with a very unorthodox comp. The only squad running the Rampart right now. We got 5 squads left. We got BitFix Gaming, Heroes, Alliance, who only have Yuki left, Game of Drones, and Vex Gaming.
Look, I know my friend Dia somewhere is just harping on the fact that BitFix Gaming is finding success. He is a believer in the Rampart meta, but now Little Max on that Watson trying to utilize those fences to stay alive, and Tyler FPS hitting that grab lift and just throwing down an immense amount of damage while repositioning themselves. Woo! And he's the new kill leader, which is no surprise to him.
Tyler popping off. He's looking to try to break his own record out here. He had the game of his career just in day number 6, and now being the only member left here for Vex Gaming, he's making the quick rotation. Yuki also being the last member of Alliance, trying to find his way back into this next circle. And look at this, Heroes too. So it's 3 rats that we have to work with right now.
Oh, this is going to get really interesting. Game of Drones moved into Geyser, had that building in the very back, and we're in it for the long haul with the best positioning. And before I blinked, Game of Drones just cleans up absolutely everyone, Vicky.
Yeah, but Vex Gaming at least were able to secure that second place spot. Good on Game of Drones to call out where this circle was going to be pulling, because remember, we saw them in the high ground building, the game-winning position if that circle did pull towards Geyser since the very beginning in game number, or rather ring number 1.
I mean, they were in it for the long haul. You definitely mentioned it, and welcome back, Rain Day. Be curious to hear your thoughts on Game of Drones, just setting up shop inside of Geyser early on and just going the distance.
Oh, you know, it was Game of Drones who won the game. But to me, did you catch what Tyler FPS did on that gravity lift? Just flew up, committed, taking the storm damage. I would have been freaking out at that point, just with the ring already moving in. But hits the headshot over the shield, then slides in and finishes off Little Max, I believe that's who it was, playing on a Rampart. That was just a great showcase of what Vex Gaming has, and you had mentioned them earlier, and we've highlighted that team across the board. But yeah, I mean, I love the way that we saw this, Vicky. It was definitely a contested one, but we ended up having a lot of teams struggle in terms of keeping their entire composition at the end. Alliance, Vex playing as solo, so it ended up being just a game of attrition, and Game of Drones won that.
Yeah, what's interesting too is BitFix Gaming landing, or rather lasting till the very end of the game, also try to predict the Geyser circle, so they were in a pretty good position and rocking the Rampart, which we don't usually get to see unless I see G Dolphin out here. I love how Tiff brought up one of my friends, DL, really great caster out here, but BitFix Gaming needed to have a great performance, at least in terms of cleaning up KP, because in the last 2 games, I believe they're sitting in the overall standings on 19th place for today, so good showcase, at least from them at the very end.
I mean, RE45, already good. Add some Rampart walls and get the damage amp on that. I mean, Tiff, maybe there is something to this pick.
I mean, look, if you can utilize those walls properly and be able to navigate them, and you've got an RE45 and some amazing aim, I mean, what can you say? Look, I don't want to be on the other side of it. Anytime I see or hear a Rampart, I'm getting out of Dodge. Like, I don't want to see a Sheila come anywhere near me. And it's very rare that we have Rampart in the ALGS team composition. So anytime we get to see it, it's kind of fun for me sitting here on the desk watching it happen, not being in it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not fun to go against, always fun to play. And, you know, that's the way Rampart tends to go. I don't know if it's going to catch on, but I like that we're seeing it in EMEA. And EMEA typically gives us some new picks. It's been North America lately that's been innovating more than EMEA, in my opinion. But EMEA now giving us the Rampart, a nice showcase in a final circle. almost had it done, except for the heroics of Tyler FPS. Game of Drones, you mentioned coming in, in 19th place, also getting the win here. We have to highlight the fact that they got it done. And this is another team that on the bubble, people were asking in the chat throughout the show, how does this work? What are they really fighting for? That top 20 is basically the opportunity for you to get into that regional final, to have a chance to win one day and one match point situation and make it to land, no matter how you are, and obviously not have to go through relegation. So it's a big moment for Game of Drones to pull that out.
Yeah, but before this game, I believe they were sitting in 10th place in the overall standing, so now they're just going to skyrocket here to sit alongside Ascend, who also fell actually relatively early, IG. Game of Drones winning that, though, is great news for them because this is a team in the overall standings for the EMEA region is sitting in 19th. So you mentioned land, and it's very possible if they continue on this domination going into Storm Point in map number 4.
Yeah, they might get a chance, Tiff. And, game one, it started off, kind of a lot of teams having their hand at it. KCP did pretty well here. They got the majority of their points in game one.
Yeah, I mean, their positioning in game number 1 was just absolutely textbook. And you think about it this way, you're led up by Nasky, that IGL, who is so well versed in zone knowledge and rotations and just getting to learn. He's really played with a lot of different peoples. We think about it like when we saw him at LAN and ALGS Champs. They played with Rambo that subbed in then as GMT Esports, and just getting to witness how he has the ability to adapt to the people that he's working with. And now that this team is so well versed and comfortable with each other, it's just really great to see what they are able to accomplish. And sure, they might not have had their best game there in map number 3, but I know they're going to come back.
I want to take a look at this because, again, I'm going to go right back to you, Tiff. Game of Drones, they won, but Tyler FPS and some of those solo kills, some of that placement that he was able to get, each kill that he got gave him an extra placement point. Look at the total that gives Vex Gaming, our number 1 overall in terms of points getters here in game number, I believe, 3.
Yeah, game number 3 indeed. But the thing about them is Vex Gaming, I feel like when they're on, they are just absolutely on. There is nothing stopping them. If they get just a whiff of blood in the water, they will just descend upon it and take out everyone in their path. Their micro fighting, their 3v3 is just absolutely insanity. So it's no shock that they've got 14 eliminations. But you jump down, we talk about BitFix Gaming making it into the top 5 and picking up 10 eliminations along the way. That just goes to show you their positioning within Geyser POI. While all of those teams were coming in from the left side and the south, they really held their own. And you see teams like Pioneers, LFO Forever, 3 Muppets, Ember, not really having some success here, Vicky.
Yeah, also looking at Ascent, who are winners from game number 2, fell very early in this game number 3 on the last game that we were going to have on World's Edge, which I keep highlighting because Ascent is one of those squads that have a nice performance on Storm Point. I believe that's actually where they won most of their games, but also do top 3, top 4 on World's Edge. So not having the same success here on this game. And KCP, another squad that I'm surprised to see, and a squad that I am sad to see still on the second page, has to be Navi.
Well, obviously, a lot of teams have to perform here. Let's take a look at how it's been after 3 on World's Edge. IG International just edging out Element 6 here with 1 point to stay in top. Vex Gaming, after their heroics last game, 23 points they added to the 6. It puts them in 3rd place, tied with Game of Drones, who ended up winning. Ascend right there as well. And Heroes with 27. This is actually one of the closest games, Vicky, I think we've seen so far in terms of our top 6.
Yeah, absolutely agree on that too. I'm also very nice to see Vex skyrocket in the overall standings right now, because before that game, even though they didn't take that dub, because of the fact that Tyler popped off once again with his heavy KP game, they were sitting in 13th in the overall standing for today before that last game, and now they're sitting in 3rd place. So they literally went up from 13th all the way to 3rd, so they went up by 10 spots.
Well, in terms of individual performance, always got to shout that out as well. After the half, it's Slayers, Element 6. Who is leading with 10. JMW on the side of IG, following up with 8, as well as Torge with 8 as well. Lufka and Wrath and Tyler FPS joining right here in the bottom 6. But I just look at it here. You see all 3 members of Vex in the top 10 kills. I think that kind of, Tiff, sums up how they're playing today.
I mean, they are definitely very aware that they are a kill-heavy team. I believe ahead of last match day, I think it was around 76% of their points thus far have come from elimination. So no surprise there. I know they were looking to kind of change things up to really get more placement points. And I think that is something that we saw happen last week, which is why it was kind of a roller coaster ride for them. And maybe they're back on that, hey, we know that we are a kill-heavy team and we are ready to show it.
I honestly wouldn't veer too far away from it. Honestly, the identity of your team, it could shift. I mean, you could be kill heavy and still do a lot at LAN, and especially a team that looks like they're going to be going and representing EMEA at this point. It still seems like Vex have to get that last piece, though, in terms of winning a match point system. But hey, second place at LAN, it was $300,000. Furia was happy to take that one in a good position of just getting a lot of kills, and maybe the win would have come. So I like the way Vex is approaching this. I think keep doing what you're doing, keep doing what's working for you. And that seems like what they're absolutely aiming towards. Vicky, in terms of this half, I know we've been looking at a bunch of teams to kind of highlight who's got your eye in terms of who you're focusing on.
I gotta talk about Element 6. E6 right now specifically, we saw Slayers topping the kill leader standings at the moment. Had a very pop-off performance in game number 2, where in that game alone, Slayers, I think, had gotten 7 KP. K-Swinny right behind him with 3 KP. Great follow-up, obviously, off of the crypto information that E6 could work with. But playing on this side of this game here, yeah, they got second place. Yeah, Ascend popped off and came out of absolutely nowhere while E6 was focused on Phoenix Legacy. But in that game 3, yeah, they got 9th place as well, but they were also able to secure even more KP. So E6 in a very good position right now to work in the overall standings, and I'm excited to see what Slayers has in store for us going into Stormpoint, because I feel like that's where Slayers really does shine.
Some of our top teams running crypto as well. You can see E6, K-Swinny on it, switching out Nags with Life, and Nags still representing EMEA. But what about you in terms of your highlight, Tiff? There's been a lot of performers on the day, but after 3, who's got your eye?
Look, it's going to be the Kansas City Pioneers. They have been so absolutely dominating and just a joy to watch. Nasky is someone that brings the vibes and is always so hyped. This is the former GMT Esports roster if you were at ALGS Champs, and we really pair it with Serdell and Max Strafey. It's just a joy to witness. They found a lot of success here early on under the tutelage of Nasky and just positioning themselves into scenarios that allow them to really show off the skills that they have. Yeah, I mean, you've got moments where they're always getting care package weapons. They always have an RE45, a Kraber, and even when they don't have a Kraber, you've got the discount Kraber Sentinel right here, and Max Strafey is just finding a lot of damage. I just feel like this team, if we can get them back on LAN, I want to see them come out on top.
You know, KCP, they've got a win. They started off EMEA with a W. They obviously added Kansas City Pioneers as an organization. You mentioned GMT at LAN. So with that switch, entered into Apex Legends, really hype. Even Nasky himself said maybe that was a bit of, not a fluke, but we had a lot of energy going into that one. They haven't won since. They've gotten second place behind Ascend. Ascend has dominated whenever they've had a chance to play. Will this be the day that KCP can get over that? That's what I'm trying to figure out. It feels like, Tiff, maybe today is the day.
Look, today is the day, but it needs to be a day for a lot of teams out here. We got to focus on 2 of them right there, but there's a lot of teams still kind of facing relegation. So I'm just, I don't know. My heart goes out to those teams that are working to find themselves a space here.
Well, more games coming up. After this halftime, we've got Stormpoint, and that will be our last 3 games to determine who will claim the top spot in EMEA in what seems to be a slowly and, well, maybe quickly closing race to a finish at a potential shot at LAN. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
series.
WD Black, what's in your pack? We saw the car get featured earlier today. It certainly played a big role in some of our late game team fights. Tiff, Rain Day here with you alongside, of course, Spider Tiff, who's joining this year in the ALGS. It's been amazing to see your expertise and casting here. It's great to finally have a game to cast with you as well. So we're excited for so many things. Also, the second half of this lobby today, Storm Point, a new map, new changes. Talk me through, what are you expecting here in the shift of this lobby, if any, heading into our back three?
You know, I usually like to say that we're going to see some legend composition changes, but typically we don't see a lot of people moving off those legends. When they get a meta legend composition, they're like, I feel comfortable on this. They don't usually deviate from that. But I mean, the play style of Stormpoint is, you know, typically different from what we see of World's Edge. World's Edge, that ever familiar face that you're so used to. It's been in competitive for so long, and these POIs on Stormpoint so distanced from one another. So they're going to have a lot of open areas, so maybe more teams are going to be picking up those G7 scouts, some charge rifles, really able to punish people on those mid-game rotations.
We did see at the start a couple of teams that caught our eye ascend. Obviously, one of them, Gaming Gladiators, as well. Gaming Gladiators have not answered the call. 2 points after 3 games. So surprising to see that. Game of Drones, certainly a team that has performed really nicely, Tiff. They won last game as well, and with 20 squads now landing in, getting into a little bit of a skirmish, not with too dangerous of a foe though, just taking down some spiders, getting a little loot. That grenade, about the best grenade you could throw in Apex Legends for the value, and obviously feeling confident after that win. What does that do for a team like Game of Drones? You know, and obviously they weren't taking on full squads, but you know, that's got to make this transition even to a new map feel pretty comfortable for them.
Look, a win is a win is a win, and you can come off that momentum feeling extremely confident in your abilities, and you're like, hey, all the work that I'm doing is actually paying off, and we know that we can win against this talented set of teams, that if we can do it once, we can double down and do it again. So I just feel like some teams need that breath of kind of confidence, right? They just know that what they're doing is working. And I feel like once you get that feeling, you can do it every time. You can make that happen and you have that chance. I mean, but to be fair, they set up in Geyser well on that early game and no one chowed them from their God spot. And they were able to rotate over to where we saw kind of Ascend rotate into. And that was the moment where they're like, all right, we got this.
And that's how they should feel, you know, going into this, playing early zones and rotating late. It's a different style for some of these teams, but Game of Drones, 29 points. That was 3 points more than they did the entire day after day 4. These two groups met before. So should be a good start, a promising start for Game of Drones fans. IG International, though, our leaders, JMW, Noises, and Graceful, they've been called super subs. They have given their talents to many teams, and all of those teams have performed at incredibly high levels, made at least the top 20 into that match point finals for every single one of them, and possibly even winning playoffs as well. That would be Graceful with Dark Zero, just doing such a good job of being leaders and now working together. It's spelled maybe a new start for IG. Pioneers, though, as we'd mentioned, Tiff, someone you had your eye on and maybe kick it up and another level here in this tournament. They are already lost with Max down and Nasky not quite out, but under pressure.
Look, that's not where you want to find yourself, to be honest. And I feel like Alliance is kind of the thorn in everyone's side on those early games. As you can see, this zone is pulling towards that upper northeastern side, which is going to benefit Alliance as they do typically land up there. So they are prepped and ready because coming from Lightning Rod, they're going to have a plethora of loot and just really ready to punish any team that they see. And unfortunately, it's the Pioneers that are going to fall victim to that moment. And check out the positioning from Ember here, currently 18th place on the day, but they have that mid and long range weapon availability. Now, granted, they only have the hollow sight on the 30-30, which thankfully a teammate's gonna let them swap in and grab that bruiser, which will be a lot better than what they were utilizing. But you get the lay of the land and the teams that are making their way in, but you will eventually have to kind of hit the road, or maybe the zone will end up here.
Very interesting when we see a lightning rod circle in Storm Point. It's just not always the case. In fact, I was saying the other day, it's kind of like 1 in 30 when you see that lightning rod finish. And The thing is, you know it's not going to end there if you land there, so you kind of take that for granted. But if it does end there, you almost guarantee yourself a top 3 finish because it is so hard to get to Lightning Rod late. And the teams who are there have such an advantage, not just in terms of getting around the whole map, which is the biggest map in Apex Legends competitive Stormpoint, but it's the high ground and the verticality of being able to hold that area. And so not a Sincere kind of there. Will it pull north? We have a lot of teams near Thunderwatch. We have a lot of teams anticipating that it will. We'll have to wait here after round 1 closes as, again, more spiders from IG International and more trouble for KCP. Serdell trying to get some fancy moves. May not be moves fancy enough to get out of this trouble, which seems like him and Nasky are in.
Yeah, they were not able to recover the banner of their fallen teammate, but I really like the positioning of Serdell here, trying to utilize this rock for cover, already hitting that ultimate accelerant, which if you guys are not familiar with, Watson just needs 1 ultimate accelerant to fully charge that interceptor pylon, which is incredibly prevalent. So the moment you lay down that Jenny, you just hit that ult accelerant, you've already got yours prepped and ready if another enemy team decides to go ahead and destroy that. That way, you can just get it down, prevent any onslaught of arc stars or frag grenades. And I just think that's, you know, one of those things that shows you why these teams are pro players. It's just like a little bit of action that they take. But Corpa out in the ring, still kind of at the southern end of the map, just engaging with 3 Muppets who are going to be sent back to the lobby. Our first team of the map to go out, and the reset coming in.
A style of play we have not seen until Stormpoint and, of course, Replicators, because they are so far in the zone. It is going to take what feels like maybe half a season to get back up there and stop taking damage. They're fine, though, because, again, they can hit that Replicator at launch pad. They can get their med kits and their batteries. They just want to fight, but we've seen this in Stormpoint teams be not willing to go into the zone soon, especially if they're committed to playing Edge. You see the Newcastle shield here, and they're fighting against someone. That's Vex Gaming, Tyler, FPS, Matafe, Unlucky. Matafe and IGL, that has just been a big part of the Apex Legends EMEA community, had a ton of stream viewership, and always one of the players that you kind of root for, but has not been able to find the results that, of course, he expected of himself. Will this be the team that does it? I think it just might be, because the way that they're playing right now, Tiff, already in 3rd place, but just 32 points on the day, clearly feeling it. If they can translate this to Stormpoint, and that's the big if, this is going to be a squad that we have to start paying a ton of attention to heading into the conversation of world's best and possible winners of our land.
Look, I think that they've already set themselves up. If they're in 3rd place on the day already, this is miles ahead of what they are typically at this point of the day. They just saw on the screen right there, they sent heroes back to the lobby, and that's a really great standing for them. But jumping on over to IG International, your current 1st place team of the day, just relegated down to noises alone, able to get the teammates called back in. Thank God the Crypto is the last man standing, because you can really utilize that drone to grab banners and get things rezzed off that and reset. Because now when you talk about bringing one teammate back into the game being a major bullseye and really a red flag for all the teams in the nearby scenarios, bringing back 2 is not good.
Well, it's a lot of work for the one player who's still there. It's like, you know, I can help you out, but I don't know how much help. Hopefully nobody tries to get on our case too badly. A good thing, though, to get the teammates back in any way you can. Better with 3 than with 1 in terms of late game chances, and they know it. Echo as well, HTP Herald, and Bardo just holding near this gravity launch. And on this high ground as well, Echo Esports just at the northwestern edge of the circle. They've got IG International behind them, as well as Not a Sincere, so that will be a problem. And you'll notice that Zuni's head is on a swivel right now, making sure that they hold that choke point. But they've still got a little bit of time. Not too much, just 8 seconds before this starts to close in. And we still got 18 squads here in the game, Tiff. So relatively slow start, but this is where it's going to start getting difficult for the teams who haven't made it into zone yet, because the teams who have their position right now already kind of hedging their bets, getting their advantage even higher for the teams that are fast approaching.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. I love the positioning here from Element 6 atop Thunderwatch, and you can see in your upper left-hand side of the screen where that zone is going. And I want to give a shout out to Alliance. They land Lightning Rod, and they typically make their rotation south to that armory on kind of that lower right-hand side.
Yeah.
And they'll go in there, get all the smart loot, and you can see they're just holding that IMC armory and the buildings surrounding that for their cover, and just really making sure that no one's on their backside. And I feel like that's going to give them a lot of advantage for a zone like this. But you've got IG International. They just reset, still trying to push in. Echo Esports, you mentioned it, Zuni has their head on a swivel, waiting to make sure that any teams coming in from that northern side are not going to be able to get past them. And they're also sitting on a beacon, so they're going to have that information available to them. But first, you're going to have to get through Element 6 atop Thunderwatch.
We have an enemy.
Alliance shifting things. Vice taking a leave of absence, essentially becoming an inactive player, and a big part of this team with Hakis and Yuki representing for the last years. Now, obviously, adding into the mix Effect. And you could say that it's been given a chance. You could also say that maybe Effect was the missing key. Alliance slowly building up in terms of their pace today.
Let's explore over there.
See if they can do something big in game number 4. Certainly have to here if they're going to start jumping up. Slayers, we've been sticking with them. A great team fighting team. K-Swinny, Lifen as well. How can they hold? Nobody wants to give up this positioning here. And again, part of the reason why is if you're fighting from that low ground and you have to go right back up, you can see it's such an arduous journey, and Vex Gaming know it, so they don't want to step any farther down than they have to. But there's KP on the line, and I think they feel confident they might be able to get it. 88. Corpa is eliminated on your screen as well, so we lose a squad, but Vex not able to pick up any KP from that.
Yeah, Vex just really doing the best that they can to play that hard edge. They are actually gatekeeping Gaming Gladiators, and it's going to force them to rotate through a different point of choke on this Storm Point map. But the more this ring starts to kind of get smaller, it's kind of going to highlight the moments where there's approximately 3 choke points in this next zone. So the teams that have already made it there, you're looking at Ember that were set up on side of that Cliff Mountain, Forge, Alliance, Bitfix Gaming, Ascend, and Element 6. As Vex Gaming is getting absolutely poked and prodded throughout their rotation. So it's going to be really interesting. They're on kind of that southeastern side of the zone. You can see there's some present Watson fences, which would really indicate, hey, there might be a team here, but you can see it's clear, it's free. IGL Matafe, kind of the big brains behind the operation of Vex Gaming with 2 insane fraggers on them.
Let's check that quadrant.
Echo Esports in a skirmish up north, as well as IG International and Ascend fighting for control of Thunderwatch. It's interesting. We've got maybe 9-10 teams outside of the zone here of our 16 still alive. Sitting pretty. Alliance, as you mentioned, maybe in the best spot. No one to their back. Clearly have a building in that armory that you had discussed on the southeast side of when you compare the circle and where it is. Vex trying to take a roundabout approach. This could work. It's risky, and you got to get it right, and I think they are going to get it right. They'll be able to land just slightly out of bounds, get a gravity lift to get back in. So a great play. Takes experience to know how to do that one. But they are still in zone, and Alliance is in front of them. So I know we just switched away from that, but we have to also make sure we keep track of it because Vex are literally walking into Alliance right now, and I'm not sure Alliance knows it. Maybe they do.
Look, Alliance was the team that sent Vex Gaming packing early on in one of those World's Edge games. And yeah, Horizon's in a little bit of a skirmish here. You can see they've already got a crack onto that enemy Bloodhound. So they're really trying to close the distance with that shotgun going off. But that's going to be Game of Drones on the other side, getting the down onto Urban. So you have that moment of shine. But look who wins off screen. It's Alliance. They double down. Vex wasn't able to push in. I love the play from them, but unfortunately not working out.
Yeah, unfortunate there as well. Taking a look at this fight that's been going on as we react to that in just a moment as Vex Gaming get taken out. Alliance hold on to their spot. Turkish Stars, Loriconian under some trouble. Kralix, the Bangalore Smoke, we saw it play kind of a big impact in game number 2. Will we see it play a big impact here? Probably not. Game of Drones continuing on their onslaught here. Just going to reset with the R301 and reload the flat line. There's one player running away, but they can see it clearly with the exhibit. And that will do. A couple of headshots and Turkish Stars out. Game of Drones add some KP to the tally.
Hey, they're trying to double down on the success that they had in map number 3, taking to the drone to find some information because they are going to have to go on their rotation. Meanwhile, E6 taking out Kansas City Pioneers, which is kind of interesting because those are the two teams that we highlighted on the teams to focus after map number 3, and look at them pitting themselves against each other. But the odds are going to be stacked against Game of Thrones. This rotation is going to make or break them. They're kind of nestled in this little choke point. They're going to have to rotate to the northwestern side with just a sliver of ring available to them, where Bitfix Gaming lies in wait. And it's not just Bitfix Gaming you need to be worried about. They're the team that plays Rampart. And if you saw anything going on in that elimination feed, you know the Sheila was already out and wreaking havoc. Just check at that zone, Rain Day. It's ridiculous.
It's going to be interesting, and that will be a challenge if anyone tries to get there late. Meanwhile, though, I know we're watching Element 6. Forge and Gaming Gladiators are fighting right now, right outside the zone. Alliance is also in a skirmish, so two teams having some important fights, and Alliance goes out. My goodness, Horizon and Lockheed take down Alliance. Forge, Gaming Gladiators still in a little bit of their skirmish, as well as Game of Drones are starting to fly in. They may join the party. No, they found a little bit of a way, and this is what we were talking about, but Tiff, Alliance out at 12. Not what they wanted here to start Stormpoint.
No, but if you are LFO forever, that's exactly what you want. You're taking down a well-established team. I mean, this is Light and Lackey's first ever pro league, and they obtained 6th place while switching comps midway through. I mean, Lackey and Light, they're Lufka's former teammates on Incentive Arise. So finding success here for them, as well as Ascend's team, you know, that's a former teammate. You want to find success as well, but Game of Drones, speaking of success, not really having a good rotation through this. This chokehold is unfortunate. Now 2 members down. Rondon last alive. Can they do it on the Seer? Trying to at least savage some... Oh, you hate to see it, Rain Day. You hate to see it.
Just too unfortunate there. Phoenix actually ends up taking him out, and this is a player who knows how to compete at the highest of high levels. I've casted him win world championships in other esports. Can he do it here? No, he's gonna get a kill, but it's not going to be the survival that he wanted. It's gonna be Gaming Gladiators who come out on top with that, and 6 kills themselves. 8 points so far today to add to make a 12 total, but it will end there as Ascend helps find kills on the E6, and Ember come down from the high ground and eliminate Gaming Gladiators. All of these squads just fallen in the last moments. We've gone from 12 to 6 in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, Phoenix Legacy, the last team to go out as well. Looks like Babbitt might have just touched the ring a little bit too long and fell, so gonna get the res back onto them, but unfortunately, a spray bullet is going to hit them as well. Now Young Hong Kong last alive, you know, just trying to get a clear little reset with just a smidge of a tree. The smallest tree I have ever seen in my entire life, and now the blood is in the water. Is this IG International looking to full send upon Ember and find some well-needed KP? It is JMW, Noises and Graceful, just sharks in the water. Finding downs on 2. There's only 1 left standing, and that's all they wrote for Ember.
Well, sometimes we have an opportunity to do this. I want to take advantage of it. We get to maybe see a winning moment here from IG International. They're number 1 in the overall standings. Can they put it together? So let's go in with a listen in and find out.
2 more seconds of looting. Literally 2 more seconds. Grab nades and we go.
Yes.
You ready? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Back to me. Back we go. Back we go.
Careful, there's a team out of spot. You heard me, yeah? They're playing in the middle.
Okay.
That's fine.
Wait,
that's this team.
Yeah.
We're good. We have our spot.
On the left, on the left. I've got Craven. I've got a bat. I got a bat on me here.
Yes, I'm looking left.
Newcastle team on our left. We'll try and push us properly, guys. I'm staying here for now. Guys,
yeah, I'm playing up.
Yes. We just reclaim our spot.
Yes, but...
I'm running this team.
Oh, they're breaking my fences.
Guys, we don't want to give up space. You know what I'm saying?
I'm killing you. Come to me.
Yes, I'm coming to you. I'm gonna bat, last bat. I have no more bat. Drop me a bat and syringes and medkits. Drop me a bat.
I don't have a bat.
I dropped you everything.
Thank you. Oh my god, that was quick, guys. Holy shit.
They have a gen.
Yes, that's fine.
We're gonna hold here and stare west. Just
He's just gonna keep staring at us, so be careful.
Yeah.
Cam.
I want to cross the J.
They're walking in. The Kraber team is walking in.
Yep. They ulted. Wait, can we take this fight above us? Look at me, just swing on me.
I'm here.
Watson. No bad angle, I'm healing.
Bad angle.
Look for something, Jay, if you got that, baby. You got that.
Height, that's good.
Crypto one!
Let's look for this! Watson, close. I'm playing my life. I broke the gen.
Just keep playing slow.
Yeah, I'm looking for this. Go crack. Break the fences. That's the crypto.
Nice.
Top 4 right now.
He's getting 1-0.
Yeah. Every other team is full.
And don't get flanked where we came from.
Yeah.
I'm watching it.
Nice, good job.
I'm grabbing meds, I'm grabbing nades. Can we just hold this and fence up?
Yes.
Yes, I am, bro. I'm gonna shoot the team on the west. This way. 1 second, I'm gonna drone for info. I have 4 nades, okay? I'm gonna drone for info. So it's one full team on the looting pin, guys. There's a rat here on this fence in front of them. Another rat here, part of the same team. That's a duo. Yep. One's on the fence, one's on the box.
Guys, will someone drop me light if I quickly come down?
I don't have any light. I don't have any. We win for free by literally AFKing. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, do you guys understand what where everyone is? Yes. I can't drop any, man. I'm sorry. I don't have any to drop you.
It's okay. How much cells and stuff? We've got bats.
I have bats here and cells.
I'm coming down. I'm coming down and I'm going straight back up.
Yeah. Do it. New positives moving up on our left. They're gonna play below us. That's fine. Let them. Yeah, we're gonna work together with the Newcastle team to kill the full sea of altitude.
The trio.
Careful of our back.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. We need to hold that. Can you hold that? I want a front face. There's no crypto in the game.
Spam fences everywhere.
I am. I got queued. I'm hanging on. Climbing, Jake. Yeah, be ready to shoot them. I'm holding an angle. I'm just holding. You're gonna get some close. Watch your back.
I'm on you, Cap. On your road, Cap.
One is still on the boat. Yep, top 3. I'm buying. Playing my life. I have EMP still.
They're climbing again, I think.
Wait, behind us?
No, in front of us.
I'm gonna EMP the 0. I'm EMP the 0.
He's under me. Yeah.
I cracked 2 on the left.
I cracked the one.
Just exist. We're gonna control height. Just exist for now. Good, Jen. Control high ground, and we're gonna drop down late. Okay?
Don't let.
Just chill for now. I still have loads of nades.
We have absolute height.
On me.
Crack him. Focus the first in. Focus the team under me.
Yeah. I'm nading. Play the second.
Where? Above.
Dead.
Last team.
I play my life.
Oh, you Dave. You're
1v2.
1v3.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Natus Vincere take the win. IG International were close, but they did not get the job done. It was a valiant effort and great communication, but it will be Natus Vincere who take the W, bringing back Vicky Kitty and Tiff. We were just casting that one, but Natus Vincere, maybe the last team I thought who was going to take the win there.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be one of those ones that hits home, right? Xron announced they're no longer playing here, and we've got Dazzo that's coming in as a sub on Na'Vi, and I just feel like it's one of those moments where it's like, that was for them, right? You have to have a monumental victory, and my heart goes out, bro. I'm so grateful for them. That was well needed.
Vicky, seeing Natus Vincere take the top, they had to go through IG, but they did it.
Yeah, and let's also highlight the fact that Na'Vi, they land at high point, so they were the only squad in that end circle that had the advantage from their POI to then rotate from the high ground into that next position to the east side of Thunderwatch. So that was really good patience from Na'Vi to display that and not get ahead of themselves when they saw the 2 rats in front of them, the duo actually, that was playing right in front of them. Instead of actually just giving up their spot, they took their time while the circle was closing in their backs.
And they took the fight, too. They did press IG International, who were up top. And again, can't say enough about them. I had been mentioning and kind of mixed up a couple things. JMW with Dark Zero winning in the Split 2 playoffs when Jen Burton couldn't show up. JMW wins that tournament as a sub. 10th place, though, Cloud9, Zach Mazer. I just did a tournament with Clara. Zach Mazer and Clara got COVID that day. So Graceful subs in for Cloud9. They get 10th place. They win 18 grand there. The super subs, now they're playing together with Noises, who has been the original member of IG International. You can see why they're so good. A great group of guys, but incredibly talented individually. Wherever they go, their success. Expected to see that from there. But yeah, the big story, Natus Vincere coming out party here and really claiming the top spot in the lobby, literally claiming the top spot in the lobby as they climbed up to the mountain and pushed IG off. But again, Tiff, too, I had mentioned this, and if you start north in Storm Point and you start near Thunderwatch or near Lightning Rod and it ends there, you have such a significant advantage in terms of the map.
I mean, that just goes to show you Navi coming out on top had that advantage. And, you know, IG International, they thought that they were going to have that win. You heard it in the comms. We win this for free. We literally just have to AFK. And I want to kind of shed some light onto that because they're not literally saying go AFK. They want to just remain out of the LOS from the other members of the teams that are surrounding them. That's one thing that we've noticed when Catalyst comes into play in the endgame scenarios and uses that dark veil to really shut down some of those lines of sight that we have these match 4 highlights. And Vexed Gaming started off strong and carried that momentum forward. And I'd really like to double down and see maybe some of those moments where they tried to push Alliance out of their positioning by a really rather cheeky rotation. Vicky, I actually love to hear your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, it's really nice to see how some of these squads that find way more success on the edge are able to capitalize off of making sure they can get that KP. And I also want to be able to double down on Navi's performance here. Before that game, they were sitting in the 19th spot overall for the day today. They have not had a good day on World's Edge, so this could potentially mean that at least the remainder of Storm Point could find a lot of success for the squad that is literally on the cusp of being relegated into the qualifiers.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, too, I thought a lot of fights made a big difference. We didn't mention Vex Gaming, who had the opportunity to actually take kind of a God spot moment against Alliance, and it just was caught off screen. They ended up flying in. They did a nice rotate, but Alliance was there, easily turned around, and with obviously the half health, Vex Gaming having taken storm damage, they are not going to be ones to win that fight. IT International, though, had moments and moments and moments. They continue to do it, but from the high ground to the low, it would be Not a Sincere lying in wait. They'd have to go through Ascend, LFO Forever, who actually in our last day 4 with A versus B took 7th place, showing up here in this final circle. IG International thinking all we've got to do is just AFK to W. Shara notably switching on to the Newcastle. Vicky, how do you feel about that?
I really like it. It did find a success, at least in the end here, where there's little to no cover and they didn't get to the rock first. You saw their attempts to try to climb up on the rock, but again, you saw that IG was doing a really good job at splitting their attention. It's just a lot for them to spread thin when it comes to Na'Vi having to climb on the other side of the rock.
And Ascend, so close even to winning this one here, but they feel like they're fighting for their lives. And that's the difference that when I was last on this broadcast, we saw A versus C, Ascend almost feel like they were well and truly above and beyond that group for whatever reason. 20 points each game, and now Ascend feels like staying in competition with IG International, it's going to be a challenge, and maybe that just speaks on how good IG is. Not a Sincere with 8 kills, 12 placement points. Vicky, they take the top spot, and IG International, Ascend, LFO Forever, and Ember round out our top 5.
Always really nice to see Na'Vi not only take the dub, but with great KP to their name too. When they claim that northern side of the circle, like we mentioned before, their POI is over by that high point area, so they were able to clear the likes of, or rather pressure out the likes of KCP Alliance, who like to rotate through the wall, and Lightning Rod. So really good showcase here for Na'Vi to hold that top spot right here. And Ascend and IG also being as consistent as ever. We saw earlier on that IG was able to win game number 1 on World's Edge, and Ascend obviously winning on game number 2. Both sides of these teams were able to finish those off with 11 KP to their name.
Gaming Gladiators also having a nice game there, 10 points, even though they finished in 8th. Now to their back half, Alliance 2 getting some kill points. 3 of those came from Vexed after that wild rotation. And of course, having a really good spot. You would maybe have expected a little bit more in terms of placement for Alliance, but it didn't really work out for them. KCP also struggling in this one, and Vexed, a team at the top, not getting it done here. And that all leads us to IG International taking the top spot. Vicky, Ascend closely behind though.
Yeah, I'm also interested to see what's going on with KCP after they did have a pretty good performance. I believe game number 1, they got 3rd. Game number 2 is where they started kind of falling apart. They believe they got 15th. And since then, I feel like right now, they've kind of been finding themselves on that second half of the overall standing for the day.
Element 6, Ascend, IG International round out our top spots. But will they stay there? We've got teams like Phoenix Apex Legends Global Series Monster Energy, your official energy drink for the ALGS. Well, we would see a very historic day in EMEA here if Ascend could somehow top the groups yet again. It would make their 3rd win overall in 7 days of total play around EMEA, putting them in a category that no one else has been in terms of all of the regions. But IG International are the teams that they've got to beat right now. Let's bring back, obviously, Vicky and Tiff and kind of get talking about this now, setting up into Game 5. We've got a lot of question marks here. On the top end, though, can Ascend do it? Get the three-peat, not the three-peat, but the trifecta in terms of wins on the day. That would be some exciting stuff. I want you to let us know your thoughts heading into the final 2, who you got your eye on, and who needs to step it up as we send you into Match 5 with Vicky and Tiff.
Thank you so much, Rain. I got my eyes on the likes of Ascend IG. I loved hearing those comms at the very end of the game from IG. You could hear them scrambling around, trying to look in both directions, preventing Ascend from trying to climb up on them. It would be quite impressive if Ascend could take another game, because at the moment, we've had different winners throughout all the other games that we've seen so far today, Tiff.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to go with the likes of Heroes. Like, I'm really interested by this roster, and they're a name that we really haven't gotten a lot of here in the EMEA region. You know, they just recently, I believe Heroes grabbed the roster of someone within just a month before Pro League started, a couple Frenchmen there, and they just have really good vibes about them, and I'm excited to see kind of what they have to do. We've seen them in a couple end games here thus far, but when Rain Day said match number 5, that's what we're really on. This day is flying by, and there's just been so much action and no shortage of it. And hey, speaking of it, we highlighted the car in that what's in your pack earlier today, and it looks like Rugby says that is exactly what I want in my pack.
Yeah, rocking the double heavy at the moment, just for right now. Let's see if he wants to still stick to that ammunition, that a priority on the car right here too, as we tune into Navi, who once again still landing high put, and they like to drop and split up just a little bit, so that way that one straggler of Navi gets to scan that beacon to the left side of high point and make their next move. They also have the ability to take that jump tower in case they want to start rotating out of here just as quickly and get some of that information if they have that Valkyrie passive online here.
That is kind of a really good benefit right there. You can take the jump tower and not have to utilize a skyward dive as available. But let's go ahead and talk about this, Vicky. We're getting a southern zone here on Storm Point. It looks to be potentially maybe Antenna or Gale Station, and Heroes lands Shipfall, so they're going to find a lot of benefit from that. But we saw Corpa, 3 Muppets, a lot of teams that were fighting on that southern edge of the zone in map number 4, so we like to see that happen for them as well. And Turkish Stars looking to fire down the likes of, I believe that's LFO Forever, because Horizon going to get downed as well. There's no real need to kind of close this distance, maybe use some long-range weapon, but that R301, those shots are perfection. It looks like Ascend's also in the nearby vicinity.
Yeah, with just a barrel stave and no stock out here too. This the 2 times and nice recoil control from the Turkish Stars. They also will have the black market available. This is one of the few squads, probably the only squad actually out here, rocking the Caustic. So that's always surprising to see, because we don't really get to see Caustic utilized, especially on Storm Point. Usually you'd see it as a variation to the Watson on World's Edge, but Turkish Stars taking a little bit of a different approach, and being able to use the replicator is always nice real quick while practicing your jumps on the replicator. Just gotta flex that up real quick. So many other squads though do land on the southern side here. I'm looking at Heroes like you highlighted before, jumping into game number 5, but they're holding this choke point to negate any sort of rotation from the squads exiting out of Launchpad, and they're already finding some cracks out here with the G7, with my personal favorite scope, the 2x4.
You know, I really love what they're doing here, but I just want to go ahead and say IG International was our first team out of the lobby here in game number 5, which they're your first place team. That's not what you want to do, but that's going to open the door for the likes of Ascend, Element 6, Game of Drones, Vexed, and Heroes to make a play here on the last 2 maps to really close the distance and jump up to there. I mean, Vexed Gaming, imagine if they come out on top. I know my friend, I mentioned Dia earlier, but I know Zephyr, a die-hard Vexed fan, is probably sitting somewhere at home just screaming if they come out on top today.
Yeah, that's actually insane here, too, to see IG go down so early. The first squad to go down in our Game 5 situation when it is looking so close in the overall standing between Ascend, sitting in second place right now. And you can see with their approach with the Newcastle, with Kashera making the swap while we make our transition into Stormpoint, how much slower they're trying to play here. They won't have the crypto to try to get the beacon. And Heroes actually making this rotation into that choke point. Looks like they may be getting pinched right now. They have a Watson fences set up, but a lot of fighting happening on the outskirts of that southern circle.
Yeah, Forge on your screen right now, they're actually going to be the team that sent IG International packing here in map number 5, and they are set up for success, triple purple shields, and it's Gaming Gladiators that are kind of stepping in the nearby vicinity, currently staying in 18th place overall for the day. And if you remember correctly, they were the team that came out on top the last time these two groups met each other, and I believe that was back on match day number 4. Now currently waiting to see if they can really step up on the second half of this, but there's only 2 more maps to do it, and they have a massive point deficit that they're going to have to recover from. And Forge as well, currently sitting in 15th place. But I mean, they're already started off so strong, ready to see if they can double down and keep going.
Yeah, and the overall standings for the day alone, they're still sitting in 15th, getting some of those extra points. Before that last game, we saw them sitting in 19th too. So they're sharing some of this space here with Gaming Gladiators on the other side. While they are fighting an Antenna, you can see none of the squad have made the rotation just yet through Antenna. So they have this spot cleared up. They don't have to worry about a third party. But while they do take their time and while they are bunkering down with the Watson fences, Echo Esports are also making the rotation to that beacon from the left side of Antenna.
Ooh, look at this, Vicky. It looks like we're going to get a fish farms ending as a lot of our teams that are making their way over there. Vex Gaming, notoriously famous for landing at Launchpad, has a relatively short rotation, and they're already in fish farms. Pioneers making their way on the very outskirts. You can see there's no team on the right side of them, so they have their back absolutely clear. The issue is they're going to have to fight for space inside that zone, but they are no shying away for that. But you can see right now Exhibit coming out from the hands of Phoenix, and they are just trying to get a cheeky angle in a window. Shots going down. No real knocks just yet. That's going to be the full send for them to be able to get inside that building. They need to find at least 1 knock.
Hungry Frogs out here, but Phoenix falls incredibly low. No split push here for the rest of the Forge Gang. Just a little too late, but nice shot from the Massive. He's got 7 bullets to work with and counting down out here. Rowe now trying to find some of these angles with the Massive. They clean up Gaming Gladiators, and this is a huge win for Forge. They need to restabilize as quickly as possible because like we mentioned before, Echo Esports are slowly making their rotation through the area, but they have some time to breathe for right now.
I feel like when you finish a fight rather quickly like Forge just did, you can kind of count to, I believe it's about 5 seconds. And if you're not taking any shots for some nearby teams, that's a moment that gives you that signal. It's like, hey, we're not actually going to be third-partied right now. We can take a moment to breathe and kind of reassess on the next move that we need to make, because they're currently sitting just outside of Antenna on that edge, and they're going to have an incredibly challenging rotation to get down to fish farms, because there's going to be a lot of teams lying in their wake, and one of those teams on that upper echelon is going to be Heroes. If you can see, they're kind of utilizing that cliffside at their back, but Element 6 out in the zone, gonna have to time that med kit impeccably perfect, or else you're gonna fall here.
Yeah, that and the fact that they are so far away from where this next circle is going to be pulling when we have, what, 9 to 10 squads, as you can see right now in Fish Farms, already taking control over the space where there's already little to no cover once you're stuck in the water between those buildings and Fish Farms. So it's going to be very detrimental for the squads that do take their time to rotate in here. And something to note is that E6 are actually one of the squads that are Valkyrie lists. They don't have the Skyward Dive that they could take full advantage of. So they need to start walking. It's going to basically be a marathon for this squad. Wondering if they're going to also be able to prioritize getting the beacon that we saw Echo Esports take control of to the side of Antenna, and they'll be able to have the information of that next circle, but it's just a matter of getting into that following circle that's going to be difficult for them.
Yeah, I think that would be really beneficial for them to grab that beacon, and you can also see there's a replicator just on the south side of Antenna, so they have plenty of crafting materials if they're running low on bags, which you can see Case Winnie has 4 in hand, so that's a good number to have, and making sure that you're completely set up for those end game engagements, because we have so many teams left in this lobby that are looking to find success. And look at Game of Drones positioning here on this nut building just on the outskirts. They are on the most southern side of the zone, no one really kind of pressuring them. They've got plenty of time, but the issue is, I like this. I was gonna say there's a lot of open area to their right side, so they're gonna hit that Skyward Dive and begin to find some buildings that are available to them. But the question is, we saw this happen on that World's Edge geyser moment. when you are in that Valkyrie, you do not get to see who is in what building. It is a rather moment where it's like you're going in blind and you're going to have to react accordingly. So if you find a free building in zone already, that, like they just did, this is beautiful.
I'm actually so surprised that this building is freely available with the beacon being so close and so many crypto squads in the area. We know that there's so much open space around this building too. So Game of Drones, counting their blessings out here. Gotta love to see it here. This is our winners of game number 3, looking to continue on their domination in this lobby. Echo Esports though, we talked about the rotation around Antenna, now finding themselves getting circle kept by Corpo, who's off the left side of Gale Station. So Echo now forced to rotate through Antenna. I'm expecting them to run into the likes of Forge, maybe even E6 who have taken their time to rotate into that next circle.
Ooh, that is not going to be teams that you really want to run into, specifically Element 6 that is absolutely on one here. You can see Slayers inside that Beast of the Hunt, 13 seconds remaining on it, and just using it to call out a lot of information for them. They get a plethora of scans, but that team says, no, we don't want any part of Element 6. We are taking to the sky, and I am out of here.
Can you imagine getting griefed by the EMP if you didn't already initiate the startup of the Valkyrie Skyward Dive? Oh my goodness, I'd get so tilted. But they timed it great. They are able to get out of the fray. They're able to get that Skyward Dive and take to the skies. Now wondering where they're going to land. That is the question. You can see your kill feed. Echo still in a lot of trouble despite all that here too. Despite being able to land over in Gale Station after taking a Skyward Dive. Wondering if E6 may want to start making their next move. Because again, just to highlight, they don't have the same luxury that you saw Echo Esports do with the Skyward Dive. They don't have a Valkyrie to their team.
No, they're going to have to go through Forge if they go to their north, and that's going to be one of those moments where you don't have a lot of time to react. If you do get in an engagement with Forge and you go to your north side, you have to end that fight incredibly quickly, because if you look, you've got heroes and pioneers that are looking to get into some action, playing that edge of zone, waiting, begging teams to come in from the north side so they can find some action. But you can see, looks like pioneers might be taking that Valk ultimate to find some space inside of Fish Farms themselves. Will they be as lucky as Game of Drones, or will they have to fight for their spot?
Yeah, that Skyward Dive coming in from that squad while they were holding on to the uphill fight of that northern side of the circle. We already know how many squads are in that final circle. We saw how congested it looks like here, with a lot of teams already taking control over these buildings. Now taking a look at where Echo Esports is in right now. We saw them take the Skyward Dive earlier on. They're still rocking 2 blue Evo shields, and there's a squad trying to fight for them in this building. It's going to be Corpa on the south side that was equally trying to contest them on the edge of the circle.
Yeah, and it's Trix taking a lot of damage, but it's Zuni, last man standing for Echo Esports, and it looks as if they are going to put them to sleep. Corpa right there, benefiting from the elimination points that were granted to them from Echo Esports, and now the safety in Gale Station that they have available to them. They're going to have a clean reset here, and one thing that I want to note, you've got Clutch on your screen that didn't have to use that black hole, so does have their ultimate available to them for their next engagement when they have to fight in that next zone.
And it looks like they may be taking a fight early on, right in the middle of this rotation, because Element 6, who made that southern rotation to avoid Forge, and now are going to be able to fight against Corpa. Wondering how that black hole is going to come into play if they do end up using it. Ascend still inside of this little area in the middle of Fish Farms. Always great to see, but terrible to see for KCP as they lose out on Max Strafey. It's a lot of that pressure as Ascend are trying to maybe fully send it onto the squad that they keep trying to contest for this final circle positioning.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough because Ember was able to pick off Nasky after that Skyward Dive, and it looks like they lost another one along the way. So when you've just got one member of KCP left standing, Ascend is basically saying, hey, we just want to clean this moment up, take your spot, and then just disappear. But hey, post-kill's going to fall, so going immediately. At least Kashera on that Newcastle, able to get that reset, but it's going to be Ember that's going to push in and grab the last eliminations away from Pioneers. We're going to be sent back to the lobby, and now Ember full sending onto Ascend.
And they back off just in time, too. They know that they're in the line of sight of other squads that are looking at this fight currently. Ember was able to help pressure out KCP, who are out of your lobby right now. But with these Watson fences set up, Ember needs to stay put. They need to be patient, and they are going to see that Ascent has to reset. So unfortunately, they just have to take their L just for in that fight right now and try to reset inside here.
But I mean, that's just one of those decisions that we can see will actually prove to be longevity here. We saw it with HEC on the NA region. They disengaged from a fight and focused on their positioning for the end game and went on to win that game. So this could have been one of those moments that pays out tenfold, but Ascend is looking to go through. They're grabbing in some well-needed loot, but they're so close to Ember, and you can just see how congested, you mentioned it, this last zone is going to be. 15 squads remaining, and it is going to be an absolute chaotic fest here at Fish Farms.
I can't wait to see if this pulls more south tier 2, because we know that Navi is in the northern buildings. We see now with the circle pulling over to the east side that 3 Muppets and BitFix Gaming called out this circle amazing. We've actually seen a very similar circle in the NA side of things in just day number 2 or 3. So it's nice to see that we're seeing another similar circle right here where BitFix Gaming was able to protect that final circle positioning.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, BitFix Gaming and Alliance are sitting absolutely pretty in this next zone, but my question is, with Vexed Gaming holding that northeastern building that's barely into that next zone, when they begin that rotation, there's a lot of open space in between those buildings, and we know that they're a kill-heavy team. My question is, what will that journey look like for them, and will they int on and get their revenge on Alliance, who has taken them out twice thus far in this series?
Such a good point. I think BitFix is also still rocking the Rampart, by the way, so that's also interesting to see, since we saw a bit of that action on World's Edge for making the transition into Stormpoint. 15 squads left, and look at this next circle. In less than a minute, this is going to be chaotic. Ember is inside the safety of this circle, and you know that the biggest priority they're going to have is focusing on Ascend, who are right to their backs.
Yeah, they do still have the Watson Jenny up, and it does have the ability to replenish some of their shields. You can kind of see there's a circle on the outside of the generator itself, which shows you just how much shield healing left on it. But Element 6 pushing inside this building, looking for space, but this is still on the outside of the zone, and with the ring beginning to close in 16 seconds, this needs to go quick.
Knock, knock, FBI, open up. E6 said, hold on, let's us take this building instead from them. They're playing on the outskirts of this circle. Let's hold into and listen in with E6 to see how they play this.
Nice, I'm stopping.
I can't.
Oh, 2 XLs, take them, 20, take them.
No, we can't. I have no med kit. We need to rotate in zone. We have a car. We're just gonna speed in. We have to.
Okay.
Come.
Okay.
We're gonna go close to the wall, and we're gonna rise and try to hold it, okay?
Okay.
Just play bottom for the moment.
Okay.
Play bottom. Med kit, give me med kit.
Yeah, drop in med kit.
Just buy time for the moment. Buy time.
Yeah, I'm scanning him on.
We're gonna listen to me. We're gonna queue and try to hold in the middle of the swimming pool. Just wait with
Okay. The one next to us, not the close one, but the far one.
The far one on the middle.
Yeah, you ready?
Tap on your shit. Go for it. Fight. Blue shit.
Level one. Nice.
Dead.
Nice. I'm dead to zone probably. No, I'm good.
You're fine.
You rest, I'm watching. Scanning.
We're pushing.
I'm in up. Good.
Get
Up in the back. I'm medkitting right now.
Okay.
Give me the taxi.
Nice or not? Okay.
No, they don't.
Okay.
Where's the nail? That's good. I don't think.
Yeah.
Half nade. Wait. I'm running. Come here.
Yeah, I'm looking over.
Never gen. I'm gonna have EMP in 20. Give me the taxi. No.
Okay.
Just don't let them swing, okay? EMP in 50.
Okay, do I have horizontal or not?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I almost got to the castle.
Just wait, in 10. It's fine,
Okay.
we take 3 more KP, that's good. In 5.
The fight on the left as well, they can do solo.
Now!
Go in.
The bucket!
I'm in.
I'm in.
One hit on foul.
The left, first up. I'm arm swapping.
Get the swap.
Coming across. I'm batting here, batting. Swinny, play down. We're good, play here.
We're good.
Make it.
I'm still gonna have EMP, okay? We still have Gen, careful.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
My time.
Peek me on the right.
Still play my side.
Stay here. I'm scanning.
Nothing.
I'm scanning.
I need heavy, no heavy.
No heavy.
Hey, Sonic.
Wait, I'm dropping you heavy. Dropping
Okay,
heavy.
yeah. We need all in this team in front of us, no?
Wait.
The beacon,
Go for it. Wait.
Oh, come on, Ben.
One.
Nice.
What's a one?
One hit. They're all weak.
One more. Nice.
No.
Right.
But you got the kill,
10
no?
kills. 10 kills.
Of course.
Nice.
Oh no, oh no. What an insane comms moment right here that you currently heard from K Sweeney. Ascend can't heal on the outskirts of this circle. Too much damage coming in. We got 6 squads left. Bitfix Gaming, 3 Muppets, Game of Drones, Vex Gaming, Horizon, and Alliance all playing for their lives right now on the outskirts of the circle.
This is going to be one of those moments where the IGLs need to step up, and Matafe still alive, taking a lot of free damage over there, but unfortunately Tyler FPS going down. Can they keep their dream alive? It's 3 Muppets. It's full sending onto them. Game of Drones goes down. Bitfix Gaming goes down. Could this be the moment where 3 Muppets find success?
We talked about 3 Muppets before. They called out the circle amazingly, and they're cleaning up all the squads on the edge here. Vex Gaming go down, leaving 3 squads left in this entire lobby. You still got 3 Muppets on your screens right now. Alliance playing on the other side of the circle, as well as Horizon. The question is, where do you go right here? 3 Muppets know that they have little to no area to hide and get out of the line of sight of the other squads that have them in their own line of sight.
And you can see they do not have the benefit of that ring pull here at the end. They are going to have to come out from cover and begin that rotation south. So my question is, what are you going to do? You need to force the other 2 teams to focus on each other and just get out of that LOS. But Alliance is poised perfectly there to benefit from this. And just if they int onto Horizon, that'll give 3 Muppets some cover. But Alliance is turning their attention to 3 Muppets. That's not what you want.
And we've seen Yuki pop up with the Kraber before. Let's see what action he could do. Let's see the magic that Yuki could bring here for Alliance as they're going to clean up the rest of the squad that is forced to rotate on the outskirts of this circle. 3 Muppets holding on for dear life. But like you mentioned, Tip, Alliance and Horizon could easily try to focus on each other. This will give the opportunity for 3 Muppets to close in the gap.
Haki's throwing out the exhibit, so they're going to have so much information to work for. As they swing onto Horizon right now, massive amounts of damage go out. That is going to be near end of Horizon. So now they just need to clean up the likes of 3 Muppets, and they have so much health available to them, Vicky.
The immediate swap up now from Alliance, cleaning up such a quick fight, and now they know that 3 Muppets has a health disadvantage. They're going to fully send it in, and this is all in the bag for Alliance. They are your winners for game number 5.
Coming all the way down from Lightning Rod to Fish Farms and finding success here. This is not going to be one of those moments where you can say, hey, that end game zone pulled near my drop spot POI, so I'm going to have a massive benefit. No, they had the longest journey coming down from that Lightning Rod area, and they waited, they bided their times, and they were just like, if we play this exactly patiently, honestly, if they hadn't cleaned up Horizon so quickly, it would have been a totally different story.
What's really great here too is even though they did have a bit of that journey from Lightning Rod all the way down to Fish Farms, they're coming from the high ground to low ground. So with the Skyward Dive, their transition to cross more land, it benefits them in their own favor. And there's actually a cheeky angle you could take on Storm Point. On the right side of Storm Point, if you cross over the mountain, you could actually cross a big enough distance to even pass through launch pads. So really great rotations right there for Alliance, and being able to secure not just 1 squad, but 2 squads at the same time while putting in some extra pressure on the 3 Muppets basically was the green light for them to know that that was their insurance, that 3 Muppets didn't have the time to resustain themselves and then go in for a nice time third party.
I mean, this was a well-needed victory for Alliance. Coming into map number 5, they were currently sitting in 7th place overall on the day, and they need to get as many points. Sure, they're currently already in that top 9 standing, but you want to make sure that you stay there. There's only 2 more match day groups after this moment, so they'll only have 1 more day to play. So this is your moment to garner as many points as you possibly can, and honestly, do it with style, and they did just that.
Absolutely. It's really nice to see the squad still stay on top, still be as consistent as they can be, because even before today, talking about where their placements is in the overall EMEA leaderboards, I believe they're sitting in 5th, right behind Vex. So now they're looking to keep themselves on the board.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I feel like that's a story, right? Alliance and Vex. And I feel like every map that we watch, we're constantly seeing them kind of butt heads through different points of the game. One is taking out the other, and it's this far today, Alliance has been the one that has been responsible for a lot of Vex Gaming's demise. But let's take a look at through some of these match 5 highlights where we can get the insights. This fight between Forge and Gaming Gladiators was over and done before I could even blink.
Yeah, Forge also really needed this here too, because they cleared this side of the circle when it comes to negating any sort of rotation from the squads that want to go through Jurassic Park into Antenna. We saw a lot of action go down there between Corporate trying to circle keep by Gale Station. We saw at the moment Echo Esports were also under a lot of pressure. Ascend as well, E6 making their later rotations. So a lot of action happened on that southern side by Gale Station through Antenna.
Yeah, jumping on an Element 6, taking this fight right here. I believe that was with Heroes, who's got ASCII on the Newcastle. And this is that moment where we went into that listen in. And I was so nervous because I was like, oh my God, they've already cleaned up the fight. But they went on and we got a bit of their rotation. And you got to highlight K Swinney, the IGL, just a lot of those comms. And here, this fight, I believe that was with Ember. They were, or I mean, I'm sorry, Ascend. They were able to get themselves that enemy's generator. So they got that, they utilized it, covered all the missile swarms, and then the moment where we saw it eat the black hole, Vicky, that was just chaos.
Yeah, that was so chaotic, but they still stayed on top at the very end right there too. Ascend managed to live through that fight, but couldn't heal through the circle in time. It already pushed them into the corner, and Alliance looking at all the chaos happening from afar, they had the safety of the fence line. They knew exactly when to push onto Horizon, our third placing squad for this game, and then immediately swapped their attention over to the 3 Muppets, who had a very tough rotation with little to no cover in the middle of the water.
Ooh, and then you look how it paid off for them with your match 5 results. Alliance at the top, but not only were they able to get those 12 placement points, they picked up 10 eliminations along the way with a nice 22-point victory. But a beautiful game out of 3 Muppets and Horizon to get 15 and 10 points respectively. And Vexed Gaming, once again, finding themselves in the top 5, relatively consistent here today.
Yeah, it feels like we're playing Ring Around the Rosie for our squads that are basically in the lower end of the overall standings for the day alone. 3 Muppets before this game were sitting in dead last, in 20th place before that game. Now getting a second place finish to a 2 KP to their name is going to allow them to elevate in the overall standings. As we take a look at page 2, though, I'm not seeing KCP on that first page. We're seeing them here on the second page. Also, Gaming Gladiators still with a double bagel basically out here, not really rocking the results that we really expected from this team. Heroes also have been basically going back and forth alongside Porpa, also didn't have the game that they were expecting right now, but Na'Vi also slowly trying to make the come up after winning that previous game for game number 4.
Ooh, jumping on over to the series results for the day. This may be one of the closest match days that I've seen for the EMEA region. Element 6 finally getting onto the top of this leaderboard with 52 points, but no shy to winning match days would that be Ascend, who is only 3 points behind them. IG International able to maintain some sort of stability here in 3rd place because they went out in 20th place in game number 5. But Vicky, any surprises here?
I mean, out of all the squads that we see how close the overall standings are from 1st all the way down to 6th, E6 is the only team to have not won a game so far, but they've been able to consistently be in that top 5 while securing so much KP while they're at it too. So it's nice to see E6 still top the overall standings, but can they finally get the dub? That is the question.
That is the question indeed, but I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. We only have one more match available for the EMEA region here today, and we're gonna cut to a quick break. So go grab yourself some water because it's getting sweaty out here.
Welcome back, everyone, to the ALGS. Welcome to the EMEA region where all the action unfolds here. And I'm so excited to say that we are jumping into our last game in a short bit, but it's been quite crazy to see. We basically had a plethora of different teams take dubs throughout the rest of the day, but we haven't had a repetitive winner just yet, Tiff.
No, we definitely haven't, and the scoreboard is ever so tight, so it's all going to culminate into this final match number 6 on Storm Point to see who is going to edge out on the top of the leaderboard. And I sit here thinking, I wonder who it could be. Ascend just lying in wait, trying to get there. Element 6 currently at the top, but not by much. And now I'm curious to see, where is that zone going to pull? Who's going to get the best of it, and who's going to come out on top?
What's really nice to highlight is the story that we've been seeing between Heroes, Game of Drones, the squads that were basically in the lower end of the overall leaderboards have a performance that they desperately needed. I mean, we have limited time on our hands here, Tiff, to see which squads are going to get relegated to the qualifiers, which squads are going to stay in the Pro League, and which squads are going to make it into LAN. Basically, 2 days left after this day is over. So a lot of these squads are thinking that in mind and keeping that in mind while trying to perform, whether they want to play very aggressively or they want to play more on the edge.
Yeah, because it's not just that regional final that you're looking to get a ticket to, because if you can make it to the top 20, right, you have that chance to play on match point format to automatically get a win and seal your ticket to that split 1 playoffs if you're not in the top 9. That's where it's going to really benefit some of those teams that might not have had success and maybe were kind of a slow to heat up. If you're really starting to kind of find your path here in split 1 Pro League, you may have to rely on the fact that you have to win that regional final on match point to get into the split 1 playoffs. But hey, maybe you're going to go through on points, and that's where you really want to find yourself. And check it out, we're getting a zone that's just a little similar to match number 5, but a little north. So I'm curious to see, will we get something on the outside of Antenna and maybe one of that no-name areas with a lot of chokeholds?
We've seen that before. That would benefit Ascend, actually, who likes to rotate through Jurassic Park. Also Ember, who do that split drop where they want to try to get the beacon on the outskirts of Cascade Falls and trying to get as much loot as they possibly can, since they don't really get the best amount of loot. But while tuning into Ascend, one of our more consistent squads when it comes to winning some of these games, they haven't found that same amount of record-breaking success today, even though they did win one game. I believe it's game number 2 with 11 KP to their name. They haven't been able to clutch out another dub, even though they've been finding themselves in the top 5.
Yeah, on that last match day for Ascend, they had set what was at that point the record-breaking points here in ALGS Split 1 Pro League, but that was actually broken just last night by a team from APAC North. I believe it was North Eption. I think they got just 1 point ahead of Ascend, but the real kicker was they were already at 52 points after match number 2, Vicky. And you look at Ascend sitting in 2nd place in game 6, 49 points.
That's actually incredible. I love to see how the ecosystem just basically coincides together with so many of our other regions. It's always nice to see as we take a look at E6 right now. This squad leading the overall leaderboards currently in that number 1 spot and looking to take their time with the replicator to move into that next circle. They don't have a Valkyrie once again to work with, so no Skyward dive, so they have to plan their next move quickly when it comes to these rotations.
Yeah, and I feel like they actually did just fine without Valk. You really don't have to have Valk for rotations if you're proactive enough. And they found a lot of success by timing it, and I think we heard it in some of these listen-ins that we were going into. You have 2 seconds left to loot, and from then we need that 30 seconds to rotate into that next zone. But Heroes, the question of the day, finding themselves currently in 8th place, just on the outskirts of Antenna on your screen, looking to push in. You can hear the callouts already pinging, hey, there's a team nearby, and this could be a big deal for them. They have some really nice shields available to them and some great weapon choices, so they could feel very confident with some early game fights.
Yeah, I'm wondering here, though, with some of these early game fights and looking at where the circle is pulling, Heroes basically are trying to fight for the ability to get that beacon in Antenna, but you can imagine so many other squads making the rotations away from Barometer, Gale Station, Fish Farms are probably planning to do the same thing, so it's going to get congested here soon here. Hopefully, Heroes could come out on top with a quick fight.
Yeah, and I believe you're completely right. We talk about Ascend being one of those teams that rotates through Jurassic Park, so the likes of them looking to grab Beacon here in Antenna is probably truthful, but I want to harp onto Heroes for a little bit. They acquired the roster of Nemesis back in November. I told you they picked up a roster just before the Pro League. That was going to be Nemesis. They placed 13th in ALGS Split 2 EMEA Pro League, picked up Uchako previously on Kick Esports and AIM Esports as well, so really looking as their first foray as a team here in Split 1, so they don't want to go out just yet. They want to continue building on that team synergy and going forward. But let's cut on over to IG International. They were your first out in map number 5, but they're looking to find success here.
Love how you highlight that, especially the storyline. Nice crack right now with the Arc Stars getting flung. IG sharing that building and immediately deletes Bob as Ember in already a disadvantaged state, losing out on 2 members. IG looking to clean things up just as quick.
I mean, that was absolutely super quick. I mean, the hip fire on the flatline, chef's kiss, baby. And that's exactly what this team is so good at. They're micro 3v3 fightings. They don't have to worry about other teams poking into this. They can just go in, get the job done, and get out. But it looks like Ascend, Kashera really low there, able to get the shields back up, but not able to get their health back up. But post-kill, looking to swing on and take a different flank onto Heroes. Roster finds a knock onto one. The question is, where's the rest of them?
Love these comms coming in from Ascend with post-kill taking a nice flanking angle. They inevitably sandwich Heroes and delete them from the lobby. They're going out in 18th right back there, and Ascend are going to be able to come out on top with more KP to their name. Nice fight for Ascend now as they're going to be able to try to reset as quickly as possible before another squad makes a rotation into Antenna to try to get that beacon.
Well, time is of the essence, and that beacon is definitely theirs for the taking, so loot up and go find out where your next move is going to be. But can we just talk about the synergy that they have? I don't know if it's just the Kashera being that IGL just really calming through these fights. Because it is an isolated fight, similar to what we just saw IG International be able to do, you really don't have to worry about outside forces interacting with what you've got. And did they hit the beacon, Vicky? Because I didn't see it.
I think they did.
Okay,
yeah, it was already in their circle, so it's a bit deceiving sometimes with that color green here, but they did manage to get that beacon, so they're making their next move to ready rotate on the outskirts of Antenna to maybe see if they can circle keep Turkish Stars, who like to land in shipfall, rotate toward the north side without trying to give up too much space. Guess we get to see Horizon now take to the sky, to the skyward dot, and they're going to be exiting out of fish farms. And we noted that there was already so many squads in this congested area on the other side of Antenna. Would love to see an overhead of the map right now to see how many teams exactly are there.
Yeah, well, it was once a fish farm zone, looks to be appearing to be Gale Station, so a neighboring POI for them. And Horizon takes to this tree, and this is actually a cute little spot. If you're a rat and you ever need to play ranked on Stormpoint at any point in time, just take note, guys, in chat. This is a moment, but you still have that line of sight from some team that's sniping nearby.
Mimu literally poked their heads for 2 seconds, and that was enough to get a headshot right there while trying to set up the fence line. So you have to take a little bit of a breather while trying to pop that shield bat, as Ascend find themselves in another fight currently right now, sitting on 3 KP for this whole team. They're sharing some of this building space. I like the fact that they're going to disengage right now to get a better look at what's going on the other side of that building.
Yeah, a little calm before the storm. Ascend looking to chow for the building. Some shots go out, and it looks like they're trying to kick down the door. The first thing someone sees when you kick down a door is going to be the shoes on this Legend's feet, but they're going to go ahead and throw some nades out and back off, maybe for a clean reset, because they're taking a lot of damage.
Playing footsies out here with the bullets and those feet here too. So Ascend are forced to actually reset currently right now. Kashera popping that Phoenix kit, like the option to disengage, because it was just them trying to find out information on the squad that is inside that next building neighboring them. So they don't want to give up this space inside of this to another squad that may want to try to capitalize off of a third-party timing here. So trying to play this patiently without the information of that next circle, since they did rotate away from Antenna. They're banking on the circle, trying to pull towards the south side of Antenna, close to the outskirts of Shipfall.
Oh, this is going to be incredibly challenging and not favoring for the teams that are not inside that next zone. I'm looking at Alliance, Gaming Gladiators, Corpa, and the Kansas City Pioneers that are still all the way at the top of the map. You're going to have to fight for it. You have really a lot of chokeholds. If you haven't already made your way through Antenna and into a neighboring choke point to get into the next zone, you are going to have to fight for it. And we've seen a lot of skyward dives come out from Pioneers, not find success. The last one ended with one of the members of Ember picking off Nasky early on, and Ascend kind of cleaning up the rest of them. And IG International proving to be the kings of this building.
Yeah, IG International taking control of this building, sharing that with Ascend on the other side with the Newcastle, the only Newcastle in the lobby. And I love how you highlighted the squads taking their time to rotate into that next circle, because very similarly to what we had seen in the last game, E6 are doing the same thing again. They're playing on the outside of the circle with no Valkyrie, so they're going to be slow rotating into that next circle, and maybe to their backs, it'll be clear with a lot of the other squads trying to prioritize their rotation through the edge of the circle from the south side.
Oh yeah, we got a good little sneak peek of the ring. This shows Pioneers just how far up north they are, still nearby Cascade Falls. They do have a beacon available to them if time permits for them to go ahead and grab that. The Gaming Gladiators still in it. They've gone out early in quite a few of the matches on World's Edge, but finding a little more success here on Stormpoint, still needing to rotate through Antenna.
Yeah, that squad is currently sitting in 19th place overall for the day right now, so they need to try to at least end this day with a big bang. Ascend still taking some shots at IG, overlooking to see if there's any other squad in the area that could potentially go in for a third party. But Ascend doesn't have a seer, so they don't have the utilization of the heartbeat sensor to see which squad is in the area behind them. Currently, you can see some other squads holding the choke point, leaving out of Shipfall closer to Gale Station. So a lot of these other squads taking their time to rotate in here, aside from KCP and E6.
Look, this setup that Bitfix Gaming has is kind of insane. You have the Rampart walls, you've got the Watson fences, and you do have teams that are going to be looking to rotate in from that northern side. We know Alliance, we highlighted them in match number 5, coming all the way from Lightning Rod to Fish Farms, are now probably just on the northern side of Bitfix. The question is, will Creeping pull out the Sheila now or in 5 seconds? Because I'm ready for it. Let's see Sheila. Let's get some action.
Yeah, I would love to see that going on. I love how you talked about it before when we saw them on World's Edge, that once you hear that Sheila, you are out of here. That's basically Rampart space now. And I feel like whenever I hear that Sheila just unload, that's basically my sleep paralysis demon coming to life. And so now we take a bit more of a passive role, looking at Creeping, hiding behind those redeployed barriers, and Gaming Gladiators now getting involved in the fights themselves. We see Hardeki landing some of those wingman shots, having to back away though. He's got the double tap on the EVA 8.
Yeah, Hardeki recently tweeted out that he wanted to play like the Hardeki of old, and I feel like this is a moment for them to really step up and take a hand of this fight. Both of them, Hardeki and Leo Green, not having any shields available to them, and that newly subbed in Sunset. Now they've got one down and a thirst. Mark that number 2. They just need to find the last member of LFO Forever to really clean this up, but it looks to be Gaming Gladiators has control of this fight.
Yeah, they have 2 members out from LFO Forever. I'm expecting that one rat from LFO to just run with their tail stuck between their legs at the moment, saying, hold on, Gaming Gladiators, they can find me. They got the Seer. You saw how Hardeki was able to be the entry fragger right there with the wingman to enable the rest of Gaming Gladiators to take nice offside angles. Now coming up on top from this, though, where are they going to go? They're going to have to rotate from the south side, and with no other squad trying to contest them, they have the information of where this next circle is going to be pulling, with the circle closing in behind them.
This is going to be a rather turbulent rotation. There's so many teams left standing, and the majority of them all on the outskirts. And with 50% of this zone once again being a cliffside, it's going to be rather challenging, but looks to be we found the only Gibby in the lobby, and that's going to be on Turkish Stars. That defensive bombardment coming in clutch, and now MG clutch from Korpa trying to take to the high ground. You can see utilizing that grab lift for a little bit of an extra boost, just throwing down so much damage. You're going to have to come out on top here.
Having to actually disengage just a little bit, take some of that circle damage while he's going to try to pop that Phoenix kit. The rest of Korpa need to help cover MG Clutch because he may go down to the circle right here. Yeah, unfortunately, he has to actually get out of the circle, pop the shield bat instead. The Phoenix kit just took a little bit too long with the circle damage at the moment, and Korpa having to back away from this fight. Let's see if that other squad can actually get that res.
They are just holding them, trying to make something happen. Tricks trying to swing and really thirst that member. It's going to be Draconian. They're picking up eliminations on the way. Korpa, 9th overall on the day, which is really solid for them. And I feel like they're starting to click now, that gravity cannon in front of them. And that team is just trying to get out of that LOS. But Korpa's hungry and they are on the move.
They want all the KP they can right now, and they're sitting in 12th place in the overall standings right now for the end of the day, and they see with the heartbeat sensor that there could be a squad that's going to be coming up from their backs. They're holding the edge of the circle, so it's inevitable for a squad to try to rotate from the other side of antennas. You can see where the circle's pulling. Literally a majority of it is over that cliff, over that rock side, so there's going to be little to no space for all these squads, 15 squads left in this lobby, to actually find and secure their own space. Now with 15 squads left, and with Turkish Stars taking their exit back to the lobby, Korpa are still sitting on the edge right here. Gaming Gladiators, understanding this, are going to have to back away, go right through antenna, where E6 is already ahead of them in terms of the rotation.
Yeah, it looks like Vexed was able to put the finishing side into Na'Vi and Element 6. Remember, no Valkyrie. They have to push full forward into this team. And you can see Gaming Gladiators in that elimination feed really just putting the work down on the Kansas City Pioneers, who are trying to make something happen here in game number 6. Yeah, Element 6 seems there's another team that wants to get in on this scuffle, so they're going to hit the low ground and just try to get out of dodge. The Slayer's taking a lot of damage, able to get that battery off, so that's going to be great for them. They can nestle themselves down here and take the zip line into a building where they'll have a little bit of shelter to restabilize.
Yeah, time for a reset right here with the fourth party making their appearance in this fight. It was KCP who were literally sandwiched between Gaming Gladiators and E6. I believe it was Phoenix Legacy, the other squad that was rotating and slow rotating from the outskirts of the circle, who were taking shots at E6, which means with the circle closing in behind E6, they need to make their next move. Ascend also cleaning up a good amount of KP. They are going to be able to restabilize right now while still holding on to the same building that they were sharing with Ascend and IG here, now trying to rotate JMW, the last one alive for this team.
I was gonna say, this is like a little bit of a roommate situation gone bad as Ascend decided they wanted more space in the building, and they have done just that. IG International now going to hit the hay and go back to the lobby. Ascend has to restabilize here and protect their space. Make sure that no one is pushing into their building. You know, Corpa, they just rotated in, are going to be wanting to have a moment of this, but Gaming Gladiators are actually going to hit the hay as well as they fall out of this lobby.
E6 also finding Gaming Gladiators completely in Phoenix Legacy. That's the squad that we were talking about before. I've made an appearance in that fight. E6 in a lot of trouble with Phoenix Legacy looking to clean up that KP that was necessary. Great timing on the third party for them, and they eliminate E6 out of this lobby. The tricky part here is, are they going to be able to rotate while they're on the other side of the cliffside and with the circle already closed in to show us that it's Horizon that actually have the circle advantage with their positioning?
You know, maybe that early game Skyward dive where they just nestled themselves into that tree is going to provide fruitful here for them, but Phoenix Legacy is going to have to take to the skies and just pray that it goes well. You never want to be the first team that Valkyries in late game because everyone is going to have their eyes on you, but that is their only choice at this point. And speaking of only choices, it's going to be Alliance. They have to move into that next zone and face off against that Rampart team. Alliance trying to find some good LOSs, but you've got all of those barricades and fences that are going to be in their way, and probably a Sheila nearby.
Yeah, that's how we know that that's BitFix Gaming that's up ahead holding that choke point. They've been holding that choke point from the very beginning, too, of this game, even after that first circle was closing. Let's jump into a listening with Alliance to see how they're going to rotate into that next circle.
Someone's getting for shot.
Rampart is almost cracked here.
Yeah. Can left side as well. Can left side here. Check left side.
There. I don't see anything.
Nice, good shit, good shit. Nice. We're in here, we're playing for this. Just hold left side out.
Okay.
Just hold left out. There's a guy low ground. There's a guy low ground somewhere.
I need one back, boys.
Here.
I have a two now. We gotta slide down for this and hold left side out.
I can stick it.
1-6.
I'm sliding.
I'm flying down. You say you can. Go stairs.
Okay, I'm saying.
Okay, Baco! Yep. Break the rush kit again. Break the
Hard to pick.
Safe on me.
Safe on me too.
Care Baco, guys. I'm staying here for now.
Carry across.
Yeah. Over here, down there. Free kill. On the rock. I'm working Baco. You guys get on top of me.
Okay, fuck, we got hot. Use me.
You know what, I'm dead.
Oh, what a push from Vex Gaming to actually get right behind Alliance and call out Yuki as a straggler behind the rest of the squad. What was also unfortunate right there for Alliance was that we know from the very beginning that Horizon had Skyward dive into that little crevice by the palm tree and have not left there. So they basically were also able to help out Vex Gaming and sandwich Alliance.
Yeah, it looks like you've got a little bit of a scuffle here with Ascend and Game of Drones, and Game of Drones gonna bow out as well, as Ascend is the sole tenants of this building. They have evicted IG International, taken out Game of Drones, and now they just have to set their sights on the care package in front of them. Will it be a Kraber, you know? But Kashera taking a lot of damage. Now Lufka and Postkill are going to have to descend onto them. That's going to be Zerifer being the thorn in the side, and Lufka just says, hey, I'm gonna take to the sky, find some information, and just try to prolong our life here. Currently in first place, but gonna get decimated by Clutch.
Got deleted. Corpa were right underneath them. Ascend in shambles right now, only leaving up to Postkill, who gets basically deleted and sent back to the lobby right now. In every corner of this current last circle, you can see Vex Gaming taking their own little edge of the other half of the circle. They have the mobile respawn beacon for some makeshift cover to work with here as well as the positioning in that next circle. So this is a really good spot for Vex Gaming because all the other teams are going to be out in the open in front of Vex Gaming to deal with.
Yeah, they literally have 2 boxes and that mobile respawn to provide them with cover. They do not have the legend composition that's going to lead to holding empty spaces. Unlucky, just really finishing off Herbin in front of them. I kind of like this for them. You've got that edge of zone. You have your back completely cleared out. You have plenty of utility. The only thing I would like to see them have more of would be some nades. They don't have that to couple with that black hole. You saw Tyler kind of popping those ultimate accelerants to make sure they have that available to them for the end game fight, which is now down to the final 3 teams. You have Corpa, 3 Muffets, and Vexed Gaming. Will Vexed be able to come out and end their day on top?
And the fact that you saw Horizon immediately get deleted right there at the very end here too. Ascend right now, you obviously see here, they were basically booted out of Gale Station, and now Corpa making their move where Ascend would have rotated. They're in between 3 Muppets and Vex Gaming, with Vex Gaming having the high ground.
Ooh, I'm really excited to see what Plum can do with that longbow. Does it have a lot of ammo to boot? Only 12 shots? Ooh, and the time, the pool is not in their favor. They're going to have to peek right into Vexed Gaming's LOS. And this is the same thing that we saw kind of in match number 5. It's who can you pit against each other at that end game so you can come out on top. It's the true battle royale in a sense. Was it going to be Corpa? Will 3 Muppets betray Corpa and full send onto them and try to play for second, picking up as many eliminations as they can?
Tiff, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat right now for Vex Gaming because they are literally right behind Ascend by just a few points. I believe right now it's by 5 points currently, right behind Ascend, who are sitting in first place with 61 points, and they're not in this lobby anymore. So if Vex Gaming hold this position, hold the advantage that they currently have right now versus Corpa and 3 Muppets, they will overtake Ascend in the overall standings in first place for today.
Ooh, and that's going to be exactly what they want. Somewhere, somehow, there is a wild Zephyr that is actually probably trying to manifest this win for Vex Gaming. He's probably going to scream like an actual 5-year-old child, and I couldn't be more ecstatic for them because now, as that ring starts to close in, who will send each other first? It will one team into another. We can only wait.
Vex right now with the circle to their backs. All eyes on Vex between Corpa and 3 Muppets. You see Corpa splitting off that attention as well with the mobile respawn beacon right in front of them, just trying to utilize that as some extra cover. See the Seer ult coming out, immediately deleted right now, but it's gonna be 3 Muppets that are forced out of their corner first.
Yeah, and you can see IGL Matafe taking a lot of damage, forced to hit that shield bat. Tyler just waiting patiently to throw down that Horizon ultimate, trying to throw as much damage. They're gonna ult the team on the right as 3 Muppets come out from cover. They're going to be insta-deleted, so now it's the final 2 teams. Will they do it, Vicky?
Let's see right now, Vex Gaming have the health advantage in their favor. The PK coming out, taken out of the replicator, and finding more and more heads. Vex Gaming are looking to take control of this fight and take our last game of the day in the EMEA region. Vex Gaming are your champions.
That was absolutely well done, just biding their time. I could only imagine the comms that are coming out on the side of Vexed Gaming. They just waited patiently and they climbed through the leaderboards, throughout World's Edge, throughout Storm Point, and now the question is, did they climb up to the top of the leaderboard? Rain Day, welcome back.
Thank you. I think that question has been answered. Vicky did some quick math. I know it's not, that's my tactic area. That's where I strategize at. But, Vicky, I think she was right here with it. They are going to just narrowly inch out Ascend. And it's more how they did it, I think, ladies. It's about the fact that they came in at the very end and won the game that put them over. It was like kind of this moment where Vexed have been placing 3rd, 5th, 6th, and now have a chance with a few points, a win, to actually place first and reach the top of the mountain. To me, Tiff, that was what was so important, to see them actually get over that hump and become now a team that we're talking about in top 1, top 2 in all of EMEA.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great point, because if I'm being honest, I was a little bit harsh on them at the beginning of the show, saying, hey, they are a really extremely heavy kill team and they get a lot of their points from it. It was approximately 76% a few match days back. And the question was, if they get on that match point format, could they double down and get a map win? And just really ending today's note on a high and having that match victory, it goes to show you, hey, they've got what it takes.
Hard fragging team too, Vicky. I mean, when it comes to team fighting Vexed, it seems like Ascend can match a lot of people, but I'm not sure how many people can match Vexed when they're on their game like they are today.
Yeah, I also feel like they feel so comfortable on Stormpoint, as you could see, taking that last game. But we highlighted Tyler in the previous ALGS Pro League show in the EMEA, where he had literally record-breaking numbers. He tweeted that he had the best game of his entire career. They finished with 23 kills to their name. Yeah, they weren't as kill-heavy here, but it was the consistency on being in the top 6 in the overall lobby throughout the day on World's Edge and on Stormpoint that allows them to feel comfortable. And that's why I was looking at the numbers here between themselves and Ascend, because what is this going to fare for the rest of the EMEA leaderboards at the end of the day today for them?
Yeah, I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Obviously, taking a look back at how Game 6 unfolded, it was a lot of teams having moments. You know, Heroes started strong. They got more points than I think they finished with in some of their days. And the early parts of it weren't able to keep up that momentum. IG International certainly were, though. And that's a team that I think has to be happy with their performance today. Didn't come out on top as the dub, but again, going to get a lot of points, going to put themselves in a better position for that regional final, and of course to make LAN if they do not win that one. But it was really the battle, Tiff, of will Ascend win or will Vex pull out a miracle? We got the answer already, but it was close.
I mean, it was definitely close, and I just feel like it's one of those moments where it's got to feel good. You know, they were really working on some things throughout these match days in Split 1 Pro League and trying to find that nice balance of getting to the end game, getting a win, and I feel like we've kind of unleashed a beast at this point because now they know how to navigate some of these zones and get a win, and I can only imagine how incredibly ecstatic that team is. And I just want to give a shout out to Matafe. I didn't realize this. Back in the day, he was with North, and he had started all the way back then. I used to watch so much of his stream, and I think he actually had like these war stripes on his face. So maybe go back to the olden days. Maybe they put on their war stripes and just came out swinging.
One of the things that always set Matafe apart in the stream, it was, you know, big figure, Vicky. I mean, people have been rooting for Matafe, rooting for Vex and the lineup for a while now, and it's kind of nice to see it come to a fruition here at the end of the day.
Absolutely, and basically similar groups like this, we've seen KCP coming out on top after day 1, Ascend with their consistency come out on top day number 2, even day number 5, Gaming Gladiators, they had that standout performance day number 4, but it was never Vex that was in the top 2 spot. They were always top 4, top 3, and now they finally get the dub that they needed in a very intense last game, which is what determined them to being on top of Ascend.
Corpa also really good day for them. I know we're not mentioning them a lot, but kind of taking a look at the middle of the table, put together a lot of good points at the end of this game to actually jump, I think, up into maybe 9th, 8th. Definitely top 10 on the leaderboard from 12th as they were starting. This is that in moment, though. Tyler FPS going with the PK. It's a nice, juicy shot there. But already when that seer landed, he was trying to survive just a second longer because he knew his time was almost up. Corpo with a 20 bomb there. Make some big moves, but it is Vexed Gaming who take 24 points. 3 Muppets rounding out with 12. Horizon, LFO Forever in our top 5 here. A big game from Ascend still, but I think we were tracking that point total. I think Vex did enough to push themselves ahead of Ascend.
I believe just by a few mere points here too, Rain Day. I think it was by 4 points because Ascend had finished their progress in that last lobby with 61 points to their name. With that W though, and those 24 extra points, that means that Vex Gaming is probably sitting on 65 points. So really great look here for Vex Gaming. And I love how you highlighted Corpa too, because this is another squad that we talked a little bit in the pre-show, just about teams that we want to see perform, because they were sitting before this day in the overall standings in EMEA on 28th place, risking relegation.
These would be some big points. Obviously, every side of the coin has another side. Tiff, these are the teams that didn't quite get it done today.
Yeah, it's teams that were so heavy into those points totals to really fight for that top of the leaderboard. Element 6 coming in 11th place with only 3 points. Gaming Gladiators, while they did get 12th this match, just really couldn't put things together. IG International, they had some really great moments of success throughout this match day, but unfortunately did not find it here in map number 6. But it's Heroes. That was a team that was really, you know, coming into approximately, I believe, 27th or 28th place coming into match day number 7. So they're facing relegation issues as well. And they actually played well today. It was a good day for them. And yeah, the match 6 results aren't going to show that, but I'm still really impressed with them.
Team that needs points. It's starting to get to crunch time here. Let's see how it is. It is Vex Gaming with the win, as we had thought. And as Vicky's quick math proved correct, it would be the win over 4 points, just narrowly by Ascend, to take their first victory after impeccably solid days of Pro League. 3rd place, 5th place, 5th place, 6th place. Now a win. Vex Gaming certainly putting themselves in the conversation of best in EMEA, maybe best in the world at some things, as Element 6 and then round out the top 5. Here's how it stands around this side. It is EMEA still leading is Ascend with a good performance today. They've been overall the best and they've won twice so far, but Vex with that win, Tiff, put themselves in 2nd place overall.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you need to do. Ascend and Vex only have one more match day available to them, and Aurora is going to have 2. So they're going to have to withstand Aurora's aggressive nature. Mind you, they were the ones that break out they get Wraith out there. We've seen Catalyst in their hands. So it's only a matter of time before they make something, you know, they want to make Ascend and Vex Gaming sweat. But I really like how the tides are turning, and it makes to show you Group B was the Group B of death in EMEA. Just take a look at that. 4th through 9th place alone. I'm sorry, 5th through 9th place alone coming out of B, and Vex Gaming coming out of B as well.
You can see Vicky too kind of need to make a move here. These teams still safe, but it's really the top 6 that have separated themselves points wise. Once you start getting from 7 all the way down to really 20, you've got a chance.
Yeah, I actually really love how Tiff highlighted the groups that have been really able to stay consistent, specifically that Group B of death. And then I'm looking at the likes of Nightmare, who are on the cusp right now of making it into LAN. They also had a great day in day number 6 of the Pro League, also Game of Drones. This means that they were able to elevate themselves from 19th place in the overall leaderboards in EMEA now to 12. So they absolutely have an opportunity to really come out on top to also qualify for LAN.
Let's take a look at the 2nd page, though. You don't want to be here. And, well, they were one of the teams we highlighted today. Unfortunately, they did not play like the hard decky of old. Gaming Gladiators, close, but almost in the relegation zone. And teams like Corpa, Bitfix Gaming, 3 Muppets, the way that they're playing, even Heroes, who had a really good start, Turkish Stars, all showing that they're moving up and they want that spot. So Gaming Gladiators running out of time to secure not just another place in the Pro League, but maybe a chance at being able to get into that LAN. Obviously, not what they were looking for, Vicky, but there's still hope. Still 2 more match days.
Yeah, it's also nice to see that 3 Muppets were also able to relegate themselves outside of that bottom 20 squad to actually put themselves in the top 20 at least here, so they can feel a little safe. As we take a look at the series kill leaders right now, Slayers staying on top. All of Vex still stay in this overall leaderboard for our kill leaders.
Well, what a day this has been overall for our kill leaders and our team at the top. And with every team, it's broken down into strategy, it's broken down into communication, and it's broken down ultimately into individuals who perform. And when we talk about performances, there's always
bring down your team and then allow Slayers to actually pop off was something that I really enjoyed seeing throughout the day. Slayers finishing off with such a high kill count, but also being able to clutch these type of moments out over by the side of follow up with the Bloodhound. Of course, no bias there. I absolutely love seeing the Bloodhound being able to pop off on a map like World's Edge, but then still keeping that consistency into Stormpoint is always a treat to see for E6. Even when it comes to predicting where these final circles are going to be pulling without a Valkyrie on their team, I believe there were one of two squads throughout the entire day that were able to find this success with a Valkyrie-less composition.
That's a bold thing to do at this day and age in Apex Legends. No Valkyrie. We're seeing it a little bit more, though. Element 6 obviously popping off in Slayers. No doubt about it. Vocal, fun energy, and great work in terms of being able to navigate with a car and make sure those headshots are ringing. All right, Tiff, heading over to you. Who stands out for you today?
Look, it's gonna have to be Tyler FPS for me. We know how strong Vexed Gaming has been, and finally ending on top. Vicky called it earlier and said, you know, Tyler FPS in that last match day had his best game of his life, but no worries here, because I'm curious if that match day number 6, that final game of the day where they ended on that victory, will now be the best game of his life. You got the IGL Matafe that has really been the big brains behind the operation at Vexed Gaming, this former Bosch roster, joined by the likes of Unlucky and Tyler FPS that are the fraggers. And coming into today, you know, Matafe is the leader of the total assists here in Split 1 Pro League for the EMEA region with 72. And I think that's because Tyler FPS has the most kills with 77 coming into today. So really excited to see them shine here today.
I love those picks. I think I had to pick all of those. I can't argue with any of them. I mean, I do like the fact that Ascend was still there. They were this close to winning again. We got to talk about that. The fact that Kashira and squad still put together a performance that might have been 3 out of 7. That is just unheard of in terms of Pro League. So congrats to them, but congrats to all of our players that stood out today. It was a great day 7 of EMEA, and it looks like the action is only getting better. All right, well, obviously we've had a great time today. It's been a wonderful day for several teams. You know, we mentioned Corpa moving on up. We saw Alliance have some moments. We saw some tragedy for Gaming Gladiators, but there's still a chance for redemption. And redemption has been kind of the story of Matafe. Matafe is someone who has been in the scene for so long as a streamer, content creator, pro player, who has had different lineups, different levels of success, highs and lows, but it feels like this season it's different. Vexed Gaming have turned the corner and are now heading only upwards. And so for us to bring in the man, the myth, the legend himself, Matafe, we have a chance to sit down and get his thoughts on how Vexed is doing. Matafe, no war stripes today, but I think you got what you want, a win at the end of it. How you feeling, Matafe, after the big win, and how you guys playing?
Feeling good. Feeling like we've played bad the whole Pro League until now. Finally, things went our way. And yeah, I feel like we've played the way we know how to play today.
I want to just get clear on the fact that you said you're playing bad, but when I look at it, third place, 5th place, 6th place, and now you've got 1st. You feel and look statistically like one of the most consistent teams in all of EMEA, all of North America. How are you getting that level of consistency, even if it's not to your standard? What's going on behind the scenes to make sure that you guys are showing up each and every day?
Well, for us, we took a good look at the teams that are in the Pro League, and we immediately saw that with Unlucky and Tyler, as you can see in the kill leaderboard, we have the most firepower out of any team in Europe. So we decided that with a controller duo like that, there's no point playing zone, so we just look for kills. Like, if you think about it, 6th place, 0 kills is 3 points. This is same as one squad wipe, which is way easier for us to achieve than playing zone.
All right, I think, Tiff, you have a question for Matafe here. We're going to go down the line, let everyone have a chance to chat with the winner.
Yeah, everyone kind of talks about your micro fighting, your 3v3s, those isolated moments. Talk me through some of the dynamics of working with Unlucky and Tyler FPS and kind of shed some light. You are clearly the IGL, so those comms have got to be important, right? When you're kind of directing those two where to go. Talk me through some of those moments.
Yeah, well, for example, I come from a CSGO background, so communication is #1 there. So I try to implement the same thing in Apex, of course, and having this high level of communication where everyone calls out everything that happens to them, it's extremely easy to outplay people. So yeah, we are at a point where I completely trust them, and they are on a level where when I'm playing Seer, I use Q-scan, I use my ult, and they can literally 2v3 teams. So I am staying in my spot, holding backstabs, holding 3Ps away, and they're just cleaning up.
I love that. I love that you brought in the word trust, because I feel like that's something you definitely have to have with your team, and it's clearly paying off. So I'm going to lead it to Vicky. Vicky, what you got for Matafe?
I just want to ask you, after your last performance, you guys popped off. You had a 23 KP game. I love the dynamic of your team. I'm a big fan of Vex Gaming. I'm a big fan of Tyler's mindset too. Unlucky is also really funny on the squad. I like the dynamic that you guys have. With the success that you found today, now finally getting that first place spot when you guys were basically on the cusp of 6, getting 3rd, always in the top 6 no matter what. Are you guys going to take a note out of how you performed today and then utilize that for the next day of competition that you guys have, basically finding what worked the best for you?
Well, to be honest, we've been playing the same play style, and of course scrims are not as realistic as Pro League, but I don't remember us placing under top 5 in scrims in the last 3 months. So this play style literally works. But until now, we only had 1 pop-off game per day, so we were kind of starting to doubt if we can actually perform like this. But doing VOD reviews and stuff, we realized that we're just doing mistakes ourselves. It's not that we're getting outplayed or do bad rotations or take bad fights. It's just individual mistakes that were holding us back, which today there weren't so many.
What a moment there. Matafe, again, a huge congratulations on today. You finally got that win. I feel like it is just the beginning of a team that looks to dominate the landscape, and not only EMEA, but maybe at LAN later on in our ALGS season. Thanks so much, and congratulations on the win today.
Thank you.
From Matafe, ladies and gentlemen, it was great to have a chat with him and Vicky, just getting into the mind of what they decide. Really, it's the Furia comp, right? We just want to fight. We can win in game, but we might not win in game, but we're going to get 20 kills while we do it.
Yeah, I also love how they want to play into their individual strength. That you know what the game plan is for this team. They want to be able to secure the KP that they need. And kind of getting my closing thoughts of EMEA, it's nice to see that there's that diversity of the squads that end up winning these games. We didn't have a repetitive winner today, even though we have Ascend in the lobby after they had a game-breaking day where they won 4 games back-to-back. Now it's a completely different story when a different group is here involved in the EMEA region. So it's always nice to see. Tiff, do you have any closing thoughts here after today of the EMEA action?
I'm going to piggyback off what you mentioned there, because I kind of mentioned this in my teams to watch on the pre-show moment, right? It was Ascend matching up against Group B. Could they find success? And yes, they did. Second place is without a doubt success on the day. And I just feel like a lot of these teams have the ability to have those pop-off moments, stay a little bit consistent, and end their way on top. And honestly, I'm just really glad Vex Gaming did it, because what better way to do it than do it with your style? Knowing that you can win just by going crazy. We saw Furia do it. They got second and they were happy with it, because it's kind of more fun to play the game and take out eliminations as rather to play it safe in zone and just wait for the end.
Well, both of you, fantastic job today. It has been one busy day in EMEA. It's time to rest up. We've got North America around the corner, but thanks so much, Vicky, Kitty, Spider Tiff, amazing casting and analyzing this afternoon. Well, it's this afternoon for some in EMEA. It's this morning or just getting the afternoon for me. But in the real afternoon, Pacific time where I am, it's North America's time. And coming up in that show, you do not want to miss the gargantuan fight we are going to have. Will TSM be the first team to win 3 match days before putting themselves ahead of the Guard, who will be taking a break this afternoon? Will Team Liquid win second, match up with TSM and say, no, we're the team to watch out for? Esports Arena, NRG, and Sweet Dreams, what will they do alongside defending playoff and championship winners Dark Zero and Furia Esports? What a day in North America we have set up, so make sure to hang out with us there. Again, big thank you to everyone who has been watching us today. It has been a fantastic day, but it is only halfway done. So take a break and make sure to come back here for North America. We've had Vicky, Kitty, Spider Tiff, and all of our production, and everyone who's watched. Thank you so much for being a part of our show today. My name's Randy, and as always, never give up, never stop gaming. We'll see you all next time.